Hey, welcome everybody. You guys got us in the chat. Let us know if you got us because our internet is acting real funny right now. Yeah. As soon as we get the word from Vince, the official IT department for the Pillaging Podcast.
Yeah, they got us. They got us.
All right, Pete, Quinn, everybody. All right, cool. Good. Welcome back. You're listening to the Pillaging Podcast, the #1 podcast in Raider Nation. I'm your host, Kenny Stapler, joined tonight by Che, Kane, and Bobby Wasabi. Say what's up, fellas.
Hey, how you doing, Raider Nation? How you
What's
doing?
up? What's up, fellas? One nation, Raider Nation.
That's right.
Here we are. First off, shout out to Silky Slim for the donation, man. Thank you so much. Yep. Everyone can thank Silky Slim because he just bought you a half a month worth of content right now with his donation. We do appreciate that very much. So while we're on the subject, if you'd like to make a donation right now watching the live stream, you can hit that cash icon in the chat window and make a donation directly to us, or you can go to paypal.me/PJ4F. That's paypal.me/PJ, the number 4F. We thank you very much. Every dollar that you donate goes right into the podcast. We are working towards some important pieces right now, so we are stockpiling all those donations, and we thank you in advance. Be sure to like and subscribe to the show on YouTube and or leave a review for us on your podcast service of choice. If you cannot make a donation, that is currency as well. We really do appreciate that. Usually we get to this contest stuff a little bit later, but since we're on it right now, Che, why don't you set the table for everybody that's in the chat right now, and we'll go over this a few times during the show. So let them know how they can win this.
All right, y'all. This is it. This is the episode y'all have been waiting for, okay? This is it. You need to be here live and in effect watching the show, and you need to be up in the chat. So, real simple. You have to hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell for the notifications so you know when the Pillaging Podcast is on. And then make sure that you get yourself a screenshot of your interaction in today's chat, okay? Today's chat. That's how we're going to know whether or not you were here. You can't just come and replay the episode later on during the week. You got to do it now, okay? So you get a screenshot that. Then you are going to post that or email us. Either to you can post it on IG or on Twitter, and you can add us, okay? And you can also hashtag PJ the number 4F, okay? All capitals. That's how we're gonna gather all the people that were here, and that's how we're gonna do the raffle. If you do that, your name is now in the raffle to be chosen as a possible winner for this beautiful piece of Bo Jackson by your shooter. All right. Did I leave anything out, Kitty?
You did not leave anything out. We're going to reset that a few times during the show for all of you latecomers out there. And yeah, man, I want to say thank you to Che for putting in the time on that piece. You worked really hard on that, man.
Hey, man, I don't know how to not give my full effort when I'm painting something, especially something as I thought was a special giveaway. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't going to give you guys – I was going to be half-stepping over here on the skill. All right? If that means I have to bust out a piece that takes a month or whatnot, then I'm going to do that. I'm going to make sure that our fans get the best that they can. It's what I can offer.
And you got the seal of approval from the man himself.
I did.
Bo knows art when he sees it.
Oh, yes.
Bo Jackson signs off on this, so – We're gonna do our best to make a run at Bo and see if he can't come on and announce the winner of this contest. That would be
come on, Bo. Come on, Bo.
So
we
could use.
Hey, y'all can help us out too, man. If you at the man, you know, the more the merrier. The more people there are out there saying, Bo Jackson, you got to do this announcement on the Pillaging Podcast. It would only be right. It's you. It's an everlasting moment.
Come on, Bo. Come on, Bo.
Let's go, Bo. Let's go, Bo. Right now, shout out to Quinn, man. Thanks again for the donation. He says, let's get that HVAC situation handled. I couldn't agree more. In fact, it's time for a temperature update right now. It is currently 93 degrees in the studio, 93 degrees in the studio.
Ooh.
That is the temp from my keyboard right now. So, yes, we appreciate all your donations. We're going to put that to good use. We're working on a new machine so we can get some better broadcasting quality out to you guys. We're going to get this room cleared out, and we're going to build a little lounge area for our guests. And we're going to put the Raider wall together, put all of our memorabilia together, and, of course, get some HC up in this. So if you hear some noise in the background, I know at least 3 of us have fans on right now. I'm not hearing it on my headphones, but if you guys are, hey,
we apologize. We apologize, man.
So once again, thanks to everyone that's been donating. Jalen Davenport, we got your donation this morning or yesterday morning, I believe it was. So we appreciate that. Jalen's been a long time subscribed donator. You can have a subscription donation via PayPal. Again, if you go to paypal.me/PJ4F, $1 a week, man. That's all we ask. Make sure you also visit onenationfanwear.com for the greatest gear in the nation. The hottest face covering in Raider Nation is back in stock. Production times are getting back to the normal swift turnaround you're used to. So a little bit of a delay, which you're noticing everywhere. Every vendor, even Amazon, has slowed down. Also, One Nation does work with printers overseas to fulfill international orders. So you will not pay crazy shipping prices if you live overseas. Yeah, I think you pay like the standard $5 shipping fee. So that's also good to know too if you're overseas. I know we got some listeners out there overseas. Shout out to Damage Incorporator and everyone else. Damage has been calling in lately, so he's on my mind. What does this mean for our friends across the pond? Hey, you get great gear at a low cost, right? I know that's a barrier to getting a lot of cool gear. Well, there's not a barrier here on the Pillaging Podcast, but let's get this thing cracking. Those chelas aren't getting any colder. Chela, 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 chela.
Yeah, chela's con che. Here we go.
Rona.
Let's get this. This is y'all saw that shit? That shit was hilarious. I saw that shit too. He killed it too. He killed it, man. He killed it.
Mike Epps is a fucking fool.
Yo, I got this 8-bit brewing company, and this is the Mr. My Hoppy, bro. Okay, so this is you see the tree on there. Shout out to Karate Kid and Mr. Miyagi. Banzai. Yeah, and this bad boy is a hazy IPA that's clocking in at 7.2 ABV. There's the pour. Let's get that.
7.2. Shit, 7.2.
There we go.
That looks nice, man. Looks like it looks like some freshly pressed like apple juice, man.
Oh,
exactly. It looked like
cloudy.
apple cider, like some real apple cider. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Chug that shit, Che.
I gotta take in the flavor, dog. I gotta, this is good.
Around a little bit.
There's as is customary with most of these hazies, and recently I've been drinking quite a few on there, right? So there is that citrus taste. This has a little bit more of I want to say it has a little bit more of a grapefruit citrus flavor to it. It's not like sweet. It's kind of more like on the bitter end, but you still get that citrus aroma. Yeah.
Based on the color alone, I really want to try that. Yeah, man, that is like the haziest of the
Damn,
hazy.
that look thick. That look like a thick ass Hefeweizen.
You can't see through these bad boys, bro.
Yeah,
that's what I love about these things.
It's like Chase turned into John Cena, bro. Chase like
you can't see me. Now look. So this, I approve, man. My shout out 8-bit. This is delicious. It's not sweet. It's got nice bitter end on it. The IBUs, I don't know if they have them on here, but you could tell there's a little bit there. There's a little bit of that little strength to it. You can also taste the potency of the ABV. I'm not mad at it, man. It's nice. It's still pretty balanced. Not as balanced as the beers from last week. Those ones were way more like right down the middle in terms of the IBUs and the flavor and all that other good stuff. But this. Hey, like I said, I haven't met a beer that I don't like yet. So keep them coming. 8-bit. Shout out to y'all.
That's not true. There's been one beer. I don't know if we reviewed it on air, but it made it to the tailgate. There's been one beer that I know I didn't like. I know Bobby didn't like. I don't know about you two, but that horchata beer was not feeling that beer at all.
No.
You know what? I'll have to agree with you. I wasn't a fan of it. I still drank it though. It's not like I quit on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I didn't quit on it. I was like, oh man, this could have been better.
When you spent the money on it, why quit? You know what I'm saying? Why quit? You spend the money on it, you be like, okay, it's an acquired taste. Fuck it, I'm gonna just, get used to it. You know
when you pay for it, you just have to basically just commit to it at that point.
Yeah, maybe that wasn't the time and the place. Maybe that's a good beer by the campfire or something like that. But on a nice Oakland morning at the tailgate, I wasn't feeling it. So we got a lot to get to tonight, guys. I got a couple of special shout outs before we start. First of all, thoughts and prayers to our close friend Raider Nug, whose mother has been battling COVID-19 and pneumonia. Sending our energy your way, brother. Keep your head up and keep us informed of your situation. Let us know, please let us know if there's anything at all that we can do. The last we heard, Mom is doing much better, but what else could you expect from this family of fighters? But unfortunately, it does sound like his brother might be coming down with something as well. But keep on fighting, man. Keep on fighting out to the Lobstein family. Keep fighting, y'all. I don't even know if that's your real last name, so no disrespect if it's not. But Vince, we love you, man. So we'll keep you guys in our thoughts. And again, if there's anything we can do, let us know.
Prayers up, blessings come down.
Yeah,
that's it. Also,
your family, Vinny.
Very much so. Very much so.
Hell yeah.
Also, in terms of Raider family, Naya Rivera, sister of former Raiders tight end Michael Rivera, she went missing from California's Lake Piru on Wednesday. Her 4-year-old son was found alone on a boat on the lake in Ventura County. Search teams continue to search the water using sonar, as well as nearby cabins and the surrounding area. Che, you had a little bit more information on that?
Yeah, because obviously this story broke, about 4 or 5 days ago now. And everybody was kind of like, what happened? Like, there's no sign of her. They can't find her. And there was a lot of people that were a little upset about it too. But as these posts have been going up, some locals have started to get on these posts and commenting. So some of the locals were talking about the fact that this lake is kind of known as a dangerous lake for swimmers. They've had 9 deaths there by drowning since the mid-90s, and I think 7 in recent years. So there's apparently like an underwater current, kind of like rip currents, that will occasionally pull people down. And so these currents are created because this is a man-made lake, and it's created by a dam. So when they release the water, which I don't understand why they would release water when there's people in the lake, like that doesn't make any sense. But they release water, and then these currents are created. So then that's actually even further escalated because there's like cliffs within the actual lake, and so they create these crazy kind of open depths to the lake, and then those rip currents are even stronger, and they've been known to pull people down, man. And the depth of this lake is anywhere between 130 to 160 feet deep at its deepest point, depending on on the weather and the rain. So you hope that they find her. You would hope that she could be found and she's well, but it's not looking good. And so our hearts go out to the Rivera family, man. And I know there was an image of his mom's and him at the lake, clearly distraught. So Michael, man, we Raider Nation's thoughts and prayers are with you, man. And we hope for a recovery of some kind.
Absolutely. I mean, how scary is that for that kid, man, to be on that boat all by himself? We don't know.
I can't imagine, man.
Exactly what he saw and how long he was there. You know what I mean? But yeah, man. So prayers out to the Rivera family as well. Last time we spoke about Naya, man, we were talking about how beautiful she is, and look how far she went, man. She was on Glee, very popular TV show, and all that, out there having a nice day on the lake with her son, and unfortunately ends in tragedy. So
I'll tell you a nice little tidbit about that. She was at a game, and shout out to my boy Dutch, who sat with me for 3 years, PJ4L. for life. She was right over here. She was right there. So we right here. She was like right there in the suites, because you could see the suites from where we were sitting. And she was right up there dancing and doing her thing. So if you go on YouTube, you could probably find her at that, because that was the one Raider game she went to, up there dancing. She was like right there. I think we took pictures. I could go through my camera. We took pictures because we was like, oh, there go Michael Rivera's sister. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, yeah, shout out, man. I hope she either you find her body or you find her alive, you know.
And it could have been, you know, twice as tragic too, because thankfully, you know, the child was in the boat, you know, fully, you know, life preserver and everything. So thankfully, you know, the child was safe, because it definitely could have been a lot worse and a lot more tragic. I'm trying, you know, hoping for the best, but it definitely could have been not cool, you know, than what the situation is right now.
And if that child wasn't there, they wouldn't even know who they were looking for possibly at this point too. So I don't know. Hate to put it on a 4-year-old, but maybe he'll say something and the story will come out about what happened. Who knows though? Yeah. You know,
another Raider was taken by water.
Man.
You know, another Raider was taken by water.
Let's shift gears here. Unfortunately, we have some more tragic stuff to talk about, but you know, life goes on, man. We got to push through these things. Raider Nation, we're no stranger to tragedy, and as human beings, definitely no strangers to tragedy. We all go through it. Doesn't make any tragedy any less so. But tonight's show, we do want to talk about Barrett Robbins and the lost tapes. Recently, an interview just resurfaced, and I know most of you probably listened to that. If not, we'll be talking about some of those points and sharing our opinions on that. We'll also talk a little bit about, Super Bowl 37. You hate to see it. You hate to hear about it. I watched it again. We all watched it again. It was a very traumatizing experience for me today. So if I'm a little down, that's why. We also have the GROAT Tournament tonight. We're going to be advancing to the second round tonight, and then we'll be putting the vote back in your guys' hands. And just a reminder, those votes are going to be exclusively now on PJ4F.com. We will be tweeting out the link to that, but it's going to be a lot easier to get the votes in one place. We get a lot more data that way, and it allows you to vote more than once. So if you feel a certain kind of way about somebody, you can get in there, stuff the ballot box, get your favorite player moving on. No shenanigans, though. We will veto if there is obvious shenanigans. And it should be a lot less obvious, though, in the second round. But for a minute there was some wild stuff going on. Luckily, none of that came to fruition.
Dakota, I hope you're listening to this. No shenanigans.
Yeah, don't ever believe anything Dakota posts. Also, we got a stadium update. Not much of an update, but we'll give you a short update on that. And of course, the Madden ratings are starting to trickle out, and the rookie wide receiver class was released this week, so we'll talk about that. And possibility, the rumors, Jadaveon Clowney was made an offer by the Silver and Black, by the Las Vegas Raiders. So we will talk about that at the end of the show. We'll have some time. Yep, Bobby throwing up that cash symbol. We'll see. The Raiders.
No, I was saying they made him an offer that he couldn't refuse.
You should have showed an empty wallet. That's what you should have posted, an empty fucking wallet. We don't got enough money for what this motherfucker trying to get. Anyway.
Spoiler alert: they made him an offer that he can very well refuse. He can very easily refuse. So we'll see we'll see what he wants to do. Anyways, so we talked about the contest giveaway. No need to reset that right now. We'll reset that after the next segment. But without further ado, man, let's go ahead and get into this. Barrett Robbins, the lost tapes. The interview was originally planned for a 10-year anniversary of Super Bowl 37. Why the hell that was ever planned, I don't know. But it never materialized, much like our offense on that tragic day. So let's talk about this interview, guys. I know you all heard it. You had Barrett Robbins speaking out. You had Greg Papa. And there were some follow-up conversations with Monty Poole, Scott Bair. You had several players in that interview. Tim Brown spoke out. Sam Adams was on that. A few other players. So let's just set the table. As everybody already knows, Robbins was struggling with mental health issues his entire career. What came out of this interview that I thought was brand new was we didn't really know how extensive and how far back these health issues went. And he talked about it really rearing its head around 96, 97 and progressing from that point on. This Super Bowl took place when, 2002? right?
Mhm.
February 2002. So that's quite a long time.
2000. It was 2003, right, when the Super Bowl was happening.
No, it was 2002.
Was it? 2000?
Oh yeah,
2002 season. 2002 season.
Yeah.
Super Bowl
Okay.
in 2003. Yeah.
Yep.
So Barrett Robbins initially had gone AWOL prior to this game, right? He went AWOL just before a game against the Denver Broncos. Was that the 96 or the 97 season?
They said it was his second. It was his second season in the NFL, so that would have been his 96 because he was drafted in 95. So his second year would have been 96. So that would have been in 96.
Okay. Oh, and sorry, Silky Slim did say that Naya's son did speak. He said his mom went swimming and couldn't make it back to the boat. I think Jay, you might have said that too, but anyways, not to get.
Oh my God, why she didn't have on a life vest? But anyway, whatever.
Anyway. So he was found. He was sent home on a plane. Barrett Robbins does not make the plane transfer. Instead hops on a hotel van. He couldn't remember what hotel it was, the Sheraton or the Marriott. Ends up back at the hotel, eating in the hotel restaurant. Doesn't have any money on him. Ends up getting arrested for not paying the bill. Gets bailed
$8
out.
tab.
$8 tab, according to him. I've never had an $8 meal in a hotel. But
Hey
okay.
man, it was the 90s, bro. You know, he was probably
True.
eating crackers or some shit.
Ends up getting bailed out by his wife, and eventually reunites with the team. And this is kind of where we get into the diagnosis part of it. He was originally diagnosed as depressed, or back then manic depressive disorder. Was given medication, was wrongly diagnosed, was wrongly prescribed, only exacerbated his issues at that point. So before I don't want to rant right now because I know the four of us have a lot to say. So this is the last thing I'll say for now. I can relate to this. I can definitely relate to this. Going back as early as being a child, I'd been in therapy for quite a long time, a lot of issues inside my family. I had a big break in therapy for a long time. It wasn't until I was maybe like in my 20s, maybe 30, I started going back to therapy. Was diagnosed at that time with bipolar. Now my situation is a little bit opposite than Barrett Robbins because I was diagnosed bipolar, was issued medication, and I started taking for the next 6 years or so. The medication only seemed to make matters worse for me. I think that was around the year 2006. And shortly after getting on the medication, I started having a lot of issues with addiction and became very, very addicted to controlled substances. At that time, my life completely spun out of control. Lost grips with everything. I really couldn't feel shit at that time. The medication completely took over, numbed me out, started taking drugs so I could start feeling things. Started taking just extreme amounts of drugs, piling drugs up on top of each other. It took several years for me to get clean. But at that time, during that time, on and off this medication, which is also a very dangerous situation to be in, these medications, these cognitive inhibitors, you want to stay on. Getting off and on them is also a very rocky road, makes things very bad. It wasn't long before I ended up in the hospital, suicidal attempt, one of many. The last one I ended up in Natividad Hospital in Salinas, 5150, 5250, ended up there, graduated at 5250, ended up there for about 3 weeks, finally get out of the hospital, stopped taking medication altogether, head started to clear. Several years later, I'd go back into therapy. Therapist wanted to know what my diagnosis was. I told him diagnosed bipolar. He kind of scratched his head at that one, said he didn't seem that way. After about 3 years in therapy with him, he was like, dude, you're not bipolar at all. Are you still taking the medicine? I was like, no. He was like, good, because the medicine can have these consequences. And I was like, well, I went through that. I ended up in the hospital for everything that you just said. And he's like, oh, Jesus, this is the dangerous thing about diagnosis and mental health orders. These aren't physical conditions you can actually put your finger on. They don't show up in x-rays. They don't show up in MRIs. They don't show up in blood tests, blood panels. It's very subjective to diagnose these things and very dangerous to start prescribing. So just to give you what my experience was, I had a psychologist and I had a psychiatrist. The psychiatrist was prescribing my medication. My meetings with my psychiatrist went like this. I'd show up and he said, how are things going? And I started to talk to him. Well, this is what happened this week. And I felt like this and these things happened. And he cut me off. No. How are things going with the medicine? And I'd be like, oh, I mean, I don't know. I can't really feel anything. because they don't have a feeling. They don't have a narcotic effect. You don't feel them happening to you. So he's like, well, let's increase your dosage. So eventually I'm on the maximum dosage. Then he starts switching me up. He starts adding medication, adding in Klonopin. Klonopin has a narcotic effect to it. I end up snorting Klonopin, doing too much of this shit. His situation getting worse and worse, darker and darker. The psychiatrist just wanted to force feed me this medication. He's getting paid by companies to give me this medication. I later find out, right, what that whole industry is all about. So thank God, shout out to Carlos, my therapist down there in Hollister. He's a real one. He spent an hour with me. We'd spend an hour unpaid, shooting the shit, talking about sports, talking about the Raiders, the Warriors, the Giants, the A's. He's a really cool guy. Helped me through a really dark time in my life. I was thankful to get off of that stuff and pull myself out of that, pull myself out of the drugs. A lot of you wonder why I don't partake in the beer and all that and the drinking. It triggers my cravings, guys, and that's why I really don't get into it, especially right now when I don't have these guys around me in the studio. When it's all fun and games, I don't think about that stuff. But if I'm alone, that's a really dark path for me to travel down. So, I just know my addictive personality. I try to stay away from those things, and I very moderately limit anything that I'm involved in. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys I'm clean and sober, but I am, no longer practicing the dark arts. I'll just leave it at that. And very happy to be surrounded by good people, having a good support system around you. Something Barrett Robbins had in his teammates, but at that time in the mid-90s, nobody understands this shit. Nobody knows what it is. And so I'm just really glad to have a great support system around me, especially here on this show. My family now knows everything I went through. I kept that a secret from everybody around me for years. And just opening up and talking to people, I'm able to be at where I'm at now. Unfortunately for Barrett Robbins, he didn't have that. What he had was stress. He had pressure. He had a coach that was just a total fucking dickhead at the time. And those kinds of things will lead you down those roads. Anybody that's been under stress, pressure, you reach for the bottle, you reach for the pipe, you reach for the straw, you reach you might reach for the chips, you might reach for the food, right? Everybody has their coping mechanisms. And unless you're just talking to somebody, maybe exercising to get some sunshine, a lot of that shit's really unhealthy for you. So just a little personal background on me. That's kind of like what I had gone through. I relate to Barrett Robbins. I related to him then, and even more so now hearing this interview. So that's all I'm going to say right now. I'm talking too much. Bobby, Kane, Che, you guys get in here. Let's talk about this whole situation, this whole mess that surrounded Barrett Robbins and, what came out of it.
Yeah. Hey, first of all, man, I just want to say thank you for sharing your story, because that is not easy, right? Mm-hmm. That's not easy, and I respect you for being able to speak openly about that. I know that's part of the steps of actually getting past those kind of issues as well, right? Is reaching that ability to actually speak openly about yourself, but it's never easy, and even more so, it's more poignant that you're able to share that, because you can actually relate to this story. So it doesn't just sound like we're just on here talking about stuff that we don't know. We actually have a person who's had to go through that. So it validates this conversation even further. So I thank you, man.
And thanks to the chat for your support, guys. Thanks to Raiders Review. Appreciate that. Redbeard, good to have you in the chat. He's brand new tonight, so he's got to bounce. We want to say hi to them. And Che, go ahead, man. But
yeah, no. The thing I was gonna say is this, man. So as Barrett Robbins, throughout the interview kind of alludes to and starts to kind of inform us about, is that he had these issues he felt were kind of brought on by his steroid use with alcohol and marijuana, right? Which I think he has a very valid point in that. So when he was at TCU, he had an episode, right? A manic episode where he was using steroids for obvious reasons, right? Trying to be a better football player, be stronger, bigger, whatever. He was using alcohol, which he had started abusing as a freshman in high school, right? And then he was, putting that marijuana on the top, right? Which to a lot of people, maybe it's not that big a deal, but when you combine those three and you have a hidden mental health issue that you're not aware of, that shit could be very, very extreme. And it can be what leads you to start to showcase these symptoms. And that's exactly what happened in his case, right? So then this man he ends up breaking into a car dealership, right? Which he says is like, I had no plans of stealing a car, but because I broke in there, it was, they thought I was trying to steal a car. So of course they're gonna arrest me. And he's like, so that was the first episode. He ends up in jail, and he was able to get himself clean enough to go back to playing, right? And it seems like that's kind of Barrett Robbins. Unfortunately, that's like the storyline, right? He has a manic episode that nobody really understands. He does some crazy shit, and everybody just says, Barrett Robbins is acting crazy, man. Barrett's acting crazy, right? He has to deal with the consequences, and then somebody slaps a seal of approval on his ass and says, all right, go about your way. Go do what you do good. You're a great football player, and gets him back out on the field. And that's the unfortunate side of being an athlete, and a special one that's gonna probably make it to the professional ranks, is that nobody cares what you're doing off the field as long as you're performing on the field, right? And that's kind of the storyline that we're presented in this interview. So for him to have showed those symptoms and start showing like this manic side to himself, like that's just crazy. You just up and break into a place for no goddamn reason. You just disappear and break into a car dealership random. For somebody to not stop and say like, whoa, what's going on, right? And then for them to diagnose him incorrectly, like you said, Kenny, they actually exacerbated the issue, right? So they gave him medication for depression when this guy was actually bipolar. Bipolarism comes with depressive states. It comes with angry states. It comes with manic states. But for them to not diagnose him properly actually set him on a path to what we all know happened, right? So I'm going to step out of the way. I'm going to allow somebody else to speak. Like you said, I don't want to bogart the conversation, but that to me stood out in terms of, because that's the part that I didn't know about Barrett Robbins, right? He had a past at TCU. I think maybe that's another part of the 90s where these kind of things didn't really come to the surface necessarily. Like this is kind of shit that was known by organizations, probably by coaching staff and that kind of stuff. But like was said over and over again, if we're winning, if you're performing, everyone just kind of turns a blind eye to it, and we just let you do what we just say, hey, he's acting crazy, just ignore him. He'll be all right. He'll gonna get on the field, and we're gonna kick some ass. Mm-hmm. That's football for you, especially in the 90s, man.
And not to hog the mic again, but just because you touched on, he got that seal of approval. Look, these issues never go away. Like, I might have pulled myself out of the darkness, but it's always at my back, and it still gets me sometimes. The difference now is I recognize my triggers. I recognize when I'm slipping into those behaviors, and then I pick up the phone and I call somebody. I call Bobby. I call Che. I call Kane. Sometimes we talk about what's going on. Sometimes we just laugh and joke, and that just pulls me out of it. I was feeling it the other day. I called Kane. Me and Kane talked for 2 straight hours. I got off the phone and I was feeling good. We had some good laughs, and that was it. The cravings, I still get those. Every single week I get those. But what do? I pick up the phone, or I go for a walk, or I make some music, or I do something. Find a coping mechanism. If you're using medication to cope, that's fine. But try to find a way off of that stuff. If it's working for you, good. But always try to find a way off of that, right? Find other coping mechanisms in your life, healthy distractions in your life. If you get rid of something, you have to replace it with something else. If you're fighting alcoholism, find something else to do, during those times when you're drinking. But that's all I want to say about that.
Yeah.
It's funny, man, because how Ches said, man, a lot of people, I mean, even in those lost tapes, they talked to Mo Collins. And he even said it himself, just like how Ches said, hey, man, I don't care what's going off the field. Just, come in, show up on Sunday, suit up, and we're good to go. You could do whatever the hell you want. And it definitely goes to show you how much times have changed. I mean, back then, and even now still, people are very hesitant to open up about, you know, some of the issues that they have personally. And it's just very hard. But at the same time, you have athletes out there. I mean, remember it was who was it, DeMar DeRozan, who came out and said that he was depressed, that depression was getting the better of him, and nobody shamed him for him speaking out and saying like, look, I have this issue, like something's going on with me, like we need to kind of like help this out, because it's not just about football, it's about your mental state. And how can you really perform at any job, whether it be sports, you know, a teacher, you know, driving a truck or whatever, if you got all these other things just weighing down on your mind and you can't even focus on your task at hand. And so I like that things have definitely changed, because, you know, a lot of it pharmacists, we're our own therapists. And, you know, right now I'm just going to go ahead and just fire this up and, you know, not think about it. I'm just going to go ahead and just numb out and just think about other stuff and not think about what's hurting me right now, because it's very hard to open up for a lot of people. But, you know, it definitely, the times have shown that there are a lot more different things than just you're depressed, here's some medication. No, it's not just that. It's like you need to go talk to somebody. You need to get, as Kenny said, have a healthy outlet. You know, just go do more than just, you know, just sit there and thinking about that, because now there are ways to actually figuring out what's going on with people. Because I never knew about bipolar until after the Super Bowl. I kid you not, I've never heard that word bipolar until after that, and I was like, what the hell? What's bipolar mean? And then started researching, and I was like, whoa, this is some heavy duty stuff. You mean you can literally just, you know, go from one side of the spectrum to the other in a snap like that. And it definitely educates a lot more people, man, when you open up like that, when you talk to people. Not only that, communication is very important. It's key when it comes to anything, man, because if you're having a hard time, it's only going to make it easier if you actually, you know, have someone there to, as Kenny said, you know, shoot the breeze, just talk to, let it out, or if not, just, you know, laugh and then just forget about that, and then, you know, find a better way to manage it, man.
Before 2003, a lot of us thought bipolar was a white bear that went both ways. The case.
Actually, man, I worked with a guy back when I used to work for the Hayward School District. I worked with a custodian, and he was like a mentor to me, and he was manic, depressive, and bipolar. He had been actually diagnosed with that. The district knew it, you know. This was in, I want to say, 93, 94. You know, I was probably 23, 24 years old. I was a kid. This dude was like Roland. And so he was a friend of mine. It was Roland. And he was manic depressive, man. And, you know, when I think about this and we talk about this, I look back and I think about Roland, because we would be at work, and you know, the guys told stories on there like, oh, we would get drunk with Barrett, and you know, and then if he got out of place, you know, if he got over drunk, then we could, you know, Lincoln Kennedy said we could, you know, I couldn't be around him. So it was kind of like, you know, Roland, we wasn't drinking, we was at work. We only dealt with each other at work. And so these things manifest themselves without being at work, without being drunk or on drugs. You could just be manic depressive, and you could just be, you know, one way, 1 minute, like the coolest motherfucker. 1 minute we could be working and everything will be good, and then the next minute, this motherfucker got an attitude. I mean, look, you can't really. It's hard to describe about being around somebody. Fuck, sometimes I feel like I'm manic depressive. You know what I'm saying? You can't really describe that shit. If you living in it, It is what it is. Nothing, only certain things trigger you to make you feel good, you know, other than if you don't have those things, you're not going to feel good. If you can't, the things that make you feel good in your manic depressive statement that could bring you out of it, if they ain't there, you just fucked up. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to be all right. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have a fucked up problem. So, you know, speaking about Barrett, and when I hear about all these interviews, which I've heard, you know, a long time ago, some of them, a lot of them, when I think about Barrett, I think about people didn't think about him. They only thought about what you could do for you. They didn't think about what Barrett needed. And Barrett himself just needed football. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, if you could have somehow, there was nothing you could do. There's nothing you could do. It's nothing you could do. If Barrett didn't want to be manic, he wouldn't be. If he had football, he was good. If he could survive through, I'm gonna drink tonight and then tomorrow I'm gonna play football, I'm good. If I'm gonna drink today and I'm gonna do this podcast tonight, I'm all right. You know what I'm saying? It's you can't describe it, man. It's just something you can never. If you're not living with it, you won't understand it.
Yeah, you can't describe it. It's different for everyone's situation, and it's definitely something you can't put your finger on. Danny Garcia, thank you. Pillaging. Danny says, "One nation, one love." We actually have someone that wants to call in right now and give their perspective. We have Angry Trask right now that wants to call in, and she's going to kind of give us her perspective on this, because I know her and I have had a lot of personal conversations around this subject as well. So we'll wait for her call right now. She should be calling in any minute.
I don't know when's the right time to crack the second chela.
After this
conversation. This is a serious ass conversation.
It is. Angry, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Welcome to the show, Angria Trask from the Ladies of Darkness.
Yeah.
How have you been there in the great?
Angria, what's up, Angria?
Good. Heidi moved up, and we're just getting settled in because she's renting the downstairs half of my house. So got in really early Monday night, and we have another week left on our quarantine. But other than that, we're doing great.
That's good. Good to hear.
Nice.
So you wanted to call in and kind of give your perspective on this. I already told kind of the viewers, you know, you and I, we've had a lot of conversations around this subject. We talk about a lot of personal matters, but, you know, what's your take on this, you know, as it relates to Barrett and as it relates to us as people? You know, what are your thoughts?
Well, there's a few things. So I was diagnosed with bipolar when I was 21 years old. So I've been living with this half of my life. I knew before that. It was really obvious going back through like school documents and comments on report cards and stuff like that, that this is something I've been dealing with probably most of my life. So bipolar is one of those things that, like you said, Kenny, you really cannot misdiagnose it. Otherwise, it can be tragic. And listening to what happened to Barrett, it just makes it really obvious that one of the biggest problems I think that we have right now is that men can't speak up about being depressed or being off or just feeling mentally wrong. Still, and even in our society today, men are judged for that, and they're not strong, and they're weak, or however, you know, somebody looks at it. It's like this is a big strong man who plays a gladiator game for a living. He should be stronger than that. Well, it's not about that, and I'm really glad that Barrett decided to come out and say something, because you know, we're getting more and more athletes that are more comfortable with talking about it. One of the people that I am most proud of on our team right now is Richie Incognito.
Yep.
Because he had some massive issues, as we all know, and he went and he got his treatment and he got a diagnosis, and he goes to therapy regularly, and he's kind of the picture of like big, broad, you know, brute that's playing this gladiator game. And to hear him turn around and say something like, yeah, I go to therapy every week, and to listen to him on Hard Knocks saying something like, well, my therapist tells me you should count to 10, and it's very telling that, things are changing, but there's still that stigma. And even, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, whenever it was that he was going through this, Barrett Robbins was going through this, it certainly was not acceptable. Because I remember when Prozac first came out, and I don't know if any of you remember that, but the big study was that they were giving it to serial killers, and it seemed to work fine. And one of the worst things that you can give to somebody who's bipolar is Prozac. I wouldn't be surprised if that's something they gave him, and that will send him right off a cliff.
Everybody got Prozac back then.
That mindset where everything seems great and wonderful, and everything is going really well, and you feel like you can fly, and then boom, you crash and it's over. And it just takes that one time to crash and it's over, and your life is ruined. And thank God for whoever stepped into his life and said, something's wrong, or if he recognized it. I hope that his family supports him. I hope that all of this is coming to fruition to where he can actually, obviously he's speaking out about it, but this is a huge problem, especially when we're looking at guys who play violent sports for a living, and they need to be watched and checked on regularly. And one of the things that I think Jenny would definitely be excited to talk about is, especially with all the research on CTE and head trauma and traumatic brain injuries and stuff like that, those are really interconnected with mental disorders, and they are certainly something that can cause issues like that. So I'm just hoping that all these guys coming out, sorry, Jack's in the background talking. I hope that all these guys finally coming out and talking can, make it more okay for other people to talk about it. And for more people, I mean, it would be nice if they would institute programs on each of the teams to kind of, not weed people out, but to kind of find them and help them and do whatever they need to do to get them in the best place possible. Because like Che was talking about, guys go out and do their thing. And this is big in the 70s too. Go out and do your thing. If you're drunk all night, we don't care as long as you show up to the game, right? I don't care what you're doing off the field.
Yep.
Well, great, but that's gonna shorten your time that you're able to be on the field. So.
Yeah, it's interesting when you have players that are doing great for themselves and doing philanthropic things off the field. Everyone wants to step in and be like, he's such a great guy, or that's such a great woman. And, they're so empowered. But, when they're struggling with things, it's like, oh, we'll get that bum off the field. He's not strong enough. He can't handle it. It's really sort of, it's hypocritical. And these things aren't exclusive. Generally, if you have one of these, you're suffering from multiple mental health disorders at the same time. Depression and anxiety and bipolar all kind of go together. And then you add addiction on top of that as another layer. And it's just something right now that is showing up in the DSM that, it's just in the last 10 years that we started looking into multiple mental health disorders and actually looking at those, how they coexist. It's like diffusing a bomb. When you're prescribing medication, you cut the wrong wire, and that thing's going to go off. And you look at a guy like Richie Incognito, who, obviously probably suffers from, anger management problems, addiction problems, bipolar, anxiety, all of these things. And to see where he's at now, I'd be really interested to hear the nuts and bolts of how he got there and what he's working on and what he's doing, who he's working with, because a complete 180 from what we saw last season and what we saw in Hard Knocks. I mean, he seems to be pretty well respected. Pretty jovial dude when he's on his good game and he's socializing with players. So that's really amazing to see that. I'd be interested to hear how Barrett Robbins is doing right now. But
yeah, definitely. And one more thing before I let you go, because I won't take up too much of your time. One of the players that really, I think, demonstrates this need to check in on your buddies is Marquette King. If you look at the down spiral that he had after what was it, 2017, I think it was, when he, went off, he kind of was doing inappropriate things, not like lewd things. He was like a crazy if you looked at him. And that was one of the things that we talked about, Jenny and I talked about, was I don't want to say too much about him because I feel like he's suffering. I feel like there's something wrong. And it's like we're watching, you know, a lot of these guys, you can look and watch them spiral. You watch them take these steps, and it's just a travesty when nobody steps in and says, hey, what can I do? What do we need to do for you to help you?
Yeah. And after all the jokes and everything and all that settled down, we were saying the same things about Antonio Brown. Like, as much as he frustrated me, as much as he pissed off Raider Nation, as much as he was the butt of a lot of great memes and jokes, at the end of the day, that's what we said here is get this man some help, because this dude is going through it, you know, and the way he's coping with it is completely unhealthy. I mean, he's burning so many bridges, you know, his career in jeopardy. You know, who knows where Antonio Brown ends up without an NFL career. Right now, he's got hope. He's still training. He's still occupying himself, but doing those things. Imagine if all that vaporizes and completely disappears. Antonio Brown's going to be back in the news again, and the next time you hear about it, it's not going to be pretty. It's going to be a lot more serious than the cops showing up at his house or something like that. You know, you're talking about possibly paramedics at that point, and that's what's really concerning about AB. And great point, Angria. Like, you're seeing it, you know, all around sports, and I'm glad to see people in general are more empowered to come out and be open about that. You know, all of us talking about it right here on the sports show is something that would not have happened 10 years ago. So
Alden Smith is another guy we should talk about. Alden Smith, you know,
absolutely.
He went through his little situation and you know, he found some help, and now he's back in the game. You know, these guys need help. Sometimes team structure, and that's what they need. You know, sometimes that is their cure, you know, and I think for Barrett Robbins, you know, he needed handlers. He needed somebody to keep, you know, handle him and stay with him, you know, 24 hours, 7 days a week, keep him even in, you know, and it's a shame that his wife, you know, probably knew about his situation and couldn't help him. You know, she probably felt empowered. You know, it's
a messy situation, and I'm glad you brought up Alden Smith, because it seems like he does have a support system. And then, you know, they talked about Reggie McKenzie coming in, you know, after the Callahan era, Hugh Jackson and all that. Reggie comes in and he brings in a guy to be a member of the coaching staff or you know, the front office, what have you. And his designation is to be there as a buddy to players that are going through it, a guy that can speak their language and that could talk to them and hold their hand, if you will, and help them through times like that. And I think that was made. That was a point that was made in the Scott Bear Monty Poole interview, the follow-up interview to this podcast that had come out. You know, saying if a guy like that had been there, if sports organizations had been taking these problems more seriously at that point, who knows what becomes of Barrett Robbins? Who knows what becomes of Jamarcus Russell? There's another guy, you know, who went through it, probably still going through it. Who knows, you know, but you know, the point is, don't close yourself off. Don't be ashamed of what you're going through. Reach out, talk to somebody, whether they're in your support circle, outside your support circle, whether they're a professional or a family member. Start talking to somebody, even if you're just being honest with yourself. I think that's the first step. So very tragic to see people go through this, because when you see what happens when you bottle it up inside, you attempt to self-medicate, self-remedy, it can lead you down a very dark path. And by the time you wake up and snap out of it, everything that you had going for you could be gone in the blink of an eye. It was a very scary situation. And this does not just apply to athletes, right? This applies to all of us. Probably 1,000 people out there listening to this podcast right now that have gone through this or know somebody that's gone through this at some point in your life. And, you know, there's still people out there today that just do not know how to cope with people that are trying to cope. And that's another layer to the problem, because there's people that write this stuff off, like, suck it up, you know, get through it, stop crying about it. But it's not something that you can control. And that's what Barrett Robbins talked about in his interview. You know, he knows it's happening, but you're sort of in autopilot. You're almost in third person. I remember when I was on the medication, I was like, I could see myself from top down sometimes doing shit, and I couldn't even step in to stop it. It's almost like sleep paralysis. You're having a nightmare and you can't make it stop, you know? So, Angry man, lady, thanks for joining us and shedding some light on this as well.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me. This is so important to talk about. And, Kenny, you and I are older and, we're all kind of old. So, but it's easy to recognize things when you get older, but it's easier for younger people when somebody else recognizes it. So just check on your friends, check on your family, make sure everybody's okay. Jack says hi.
Hi.
Hey,
Hi,
baby.
Jack.
Hi, Jack.
Hi.
Shout out to your family, Angria. Shout out to Heidi up there. It was really cool for you guys to stop by here in California, have dinner, and just check in, and appreciate that. That was really cool seeing both of you. Really cool.
That was amazing. And can I just tell you all, Kenny is a great cook.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Confirmed.
he made us formal dinner. We got to talk about football with his dad. It was amazing. We loved it.
Yes, we loved having you. So thank you very much. My house is your house anytime the doors are open to you, anytime you're in the area. So hopefully we can get up to Alaska sometime and visit you as well. That's a place I've always wanted to go to,
Absolutely.
All right. Well,
all right. Thanks, guys. Love you guys.
love you too.
Love you too.
Take
Shout
care,
out, Andrea.
Love you.
Good to
Hey,
hear from
Andrea.
you. Love you too, baby girl.
Peace. That was a nice surprise there. That was a nice surprise. So thanks again, Angria. As you listen back, we appreciate you. She's like, I don't know, she's like the boss of the network. And we couldn't be more blessed to have her there because man, she tells it like it is. And
Big sis.
that's our sister. That's it. Exactly.
Big
That's
sis.
it. Mhm.
Big sis.
Hell yeah. Anyways, much love to Angry Trask and Company. But we said all that. So we said all that. It's now 2003, and we're headed into the Super Bowl. So I want kind of Kane to take the lead there, but just to sort of reset what happened going into this. Che, do you want to talk about the events leading up to Super Bowl 37 in 2003? What happened with the AWOL situation, what kind of happened a little bit before that with Callahan, the whole vibe of the team. You set the table on that, and then I want to pass it off to Kane, talk about Super Bowl 37 and the consequences and whatnot. And Bobby, you just cherry pick. Bobby, get in there and cherry pick.
Absolutely. So look, man. So listen, this interview was about this incident, right? The focus of this interview was about the incident that took place where Barrett Robbins went missing days prior to the Super Bowl. Okay, but as we listen into the interview, we get a lot of content from former, past players, legends of the game, legends for the Raiders, right? And one thing seems to come out very clearly is that going into this championship game, there was a strategy and there was an idea that the Raiders had certain advantages over this Buccaneers defense, and that they were going to use those advantages, which was, for in our case, our offensive line. We were boasting the number one offense in the league at that time, right? MVP quarterback, two legends of the game in Brown and Rice playing wide receiver, right? Mm-hmm. And we had a bevy of we had
running backs.
We had a crew of running backs, man. We had
Crockett,
we had Charlie
Wheatley,
Garner, Whitley, Crockett, who was always our goal line, right? It was guaranteed TD, right? He was jacking everyone's TDs. And then you still had Richie out there. Richie was out there blocking, bleeding after the first 5 minutes of the game, right? I think even in that Super Bowl, they caught a clip of him, like taping his cuts up, right? Those horns that he had, those calcium deposits, if you will.
That's what it was, calcium deposits.
Yeah, bro.
But
every game.
But so this is what we knew, right? And the one thing was that the Raiders offensive line was not to be fucked with, right? This offensive line was massive. We could put some hurting on people. We had a lot of size, a lot of weight on that side of the line. And the one thing that we knew about Tampa Bay is, yes, they were very quick. Yes, they were fleet-footed. They were very smart in their zone defense, but they were undersized in a lot of ways. And so going in Monday, and this is as Tim Brown reported, and some of the other players reported in this interview is that Monday they got a game plan, and they open up the game plan, and it said something like the game plan to a championship or some shit like that, right? On the top, on the front cover. And so they open up this game plan, and it's said to be all smash mouth football, right? That's the way that Timmy put it. He said, smash mouth football, we're going to use our size to take advantage of the smaller defensive line that the Tampa Bay is coming in here with. And he even goes as far as to say that they went out of their way to tell Charlie Gardner, sorry, Charlie, but you're probably not going to see the field very much, but be happy because you're going to be a champion at the end of this, right? You're just going to be able to celebrate and pop bottles with us. They went as far as to say that because they said that they were going to dedicate to running the ball down Tampa Bay's mouth with Tyrone Whitley and Zach Crockett, okay? Pounding the rock. And they were excited about it. They thought it was a great way to go. They thought that was an advantage that they had. And knowing that Tampa Bay was playing that Tampa 2 defense, that zone defense, the high flying, the passing game that we were boasting going into the Super Bowl wasn't necessarily a recipe for success. It was strength against strength. And in that case, you got to look at youth, speed, age, right? Like all those things start to come into play. But they practiced this. And then Friday, they get the word that there's been a change of heart in terms of Bill Callahan's confidence in the game plan, and he decides that they're going to go now to a game plan that is about throwing the ball. And I think they quote Tim Brown. It said something like, we switched from smash mouth football to throwing the ball 60 times in the game, okay? Which, to that extent, Barrett Robbins in that point says, you can't do this shit to me. Like, you cannot do this to me. Like, this is too late. Like, why are you cannot do this. Don't do this to me. Why? Because the center is the leader of that offense in a lot of ways, okay? Because he's the one that makes the audibles. He's the one that makes the checks. He's the one that gives the rest of the offensive line the heads up on what their actual job is going to do on every given play. So when you're talking about a guy that's practicing and preparing for this championship game, thinking it's going to go a certain route, you go from an all run or a very run focused attack to now all passing. The blocking scheme changes. Okay. You're no longer just fucking putting bodies on people. Now you got to finesse them. Now you got to be aware of all these blitzes and all these different attack stunts that the defense is going to run at you.
And they were coming too. They were coming. And that's exact. And they planned for a Raiders offense that threw the ball. Okay. You could see that in the Tampa Bay defense is that they were prepared for a passing game, a pass focused offense. Okay. So when you do this, okay, and I know that this came out years back too. Tim Brown spoke about this openly. Jerry Rice went on record to report the same thing, that Bill Callahan changed the game plan, even to the extent that some of the professionals reported on it, and the guys like Colin Cowherd went out of their way to kind of call out. I think it was Colin Cowherd, or maybe it was who's the other dude, the other dickhead. I don't know. It was one of those dickheads that gets on TV and talks a lot of shit. But he was saying something like, "Oh yeah, are you really gonna buy that Jerry Rice and Tim Brown being receivers were gonna say, oh yeah, let's run the ball 50, 60 times a game? Like, that's bullshit. They're just making excuses for losing the Super Bowl." And I'm thinking to myself, like, winners don't give a fuck how they win. They just want to win. So even though you want to say that Jerry Rice and Tim Brown were divas because they're receivers and they cared about their stats and they wanted to be impactful in this championship game, I'm pretty sure Tim Brown would take a Super Bowl ring over padding his own personal stats and losing one. Okay? And so that's what they said. They've come out and said that. And I think we've heard pieces of that.
And you heard in this interview little snippets of other players concluding the same thing. I know there's been some players that have come out and say the opposite, but I'm going to go ahead and take the word of some of these legends, some of these guys that have been that were part of this major parts of this offense, we should say, right? It's not like we're talking to backups here. We're talking about Tim Brown, Jerry Rice, talking about Lincoln Kennedy. We're talking about Mo Collins. Even Rod Woodson went out of his way to say, like, that was shocking to us. Like, we didn't understand how that worked. Like, that's never been heard of. You just change the game plan 2 days or, like a few days before the Super Bowl. Friday, the game's on Sunday. How do you do that? Right? And so therein lies, and I think Tim Brown said it too, is that he feels that this had a lot to do with Barrett Robbins going off the deep end. Yes, he was battling his issues. Yes, he was battling demons, but he had made it to the Super Bowl, right? He had gotten through this.
Pro Bowl that year, all pro that year.
Yeah. So when you throw something like this and completely turn a person upside down and you start to put added stress on top of the shit that they're dealing with, I think there's a point to it, man. I think there's a point to it, But I've been talking for a while, so I'm gonna let some of these guys get it,
But really quick, before we get into the game, what happens to Barrett Robbins that weekend? Just kind of recap for us.
So Barrett Robbins is said to be out partying, right? I think at one point he returns to the hotel, and this is out of his own words. He's like, I came back to the hotel and I raided the mini fridge. I took all the liquor out of the mini fridge and I headed towards Mexico. Like, he fucking got all the liquor out of the mini fridge at the hotel, the team hotel, jumped in a car. I don't know if it was a taxi, if he just caught a ride with some random dude. He doesn't even explain that. And he says, I headed towards Mexico.
It was me, y'all. You put the blame on me.
He disappears, right? And I think it was who was it? Calvin Branch, I think, was the one that found him in PB before that, right? So it was that 2 days before the Super Bowl, the same day, and I think Tim Brown says it was the same day that he went missing. Okay, the same day that Callahan dropped that shit on us, he went missing that same day. So they saw him out at PB. He didn't look right. Calvin Branch says that he was depressed. He looked like he was. I heard him, and he was on the verge of crying. So I went and I grabbed him, and I said, well, let's get you to the hotel. Got him to the hotel, thought, okay, I got him there. He's going to be cool. No, instead, Barrett Robbins goes in, raids the mini fridge, and hops in a car and heads to Mexico. And you can only imagine, right? Like, I think he made a comment about strippers and prostitutes and all kinds of crazy shit. Who knows what Barrett Robbins
That's how
doing.
you do it, bro, when you go to Mexico.
Yeah.
Well, just to that part of Mexico.
Yeah, TJ, yeah, for sure, right? For sure. So he ends up out there, and they put out an APB for this man. Okay, they put an all points bulletin out for this man to try to find him, because they have a team meeting the next morning, and he's nowhere to be found. And everybody's looking around saying, this isn't like our guy. Like, where's our Pro Bowl center? Like, where's our all-pro center? Like, he's supposed to be here right now. And I think another comment that people made is like, we've drank all night with this dude, and we just take an IV and come back, and we just show up to game day, and we're good, right? So even in this instance, this was different, right? Because he didn't show up. He was done. And when they finally found him, he was out of his mind. I think somebody made the comment that he thought they won the Super Bowl. He literally thought they had already won the Super Bowl. He goes back to the hotel, starts packing his bags, because he's like, we won the Super Bowl. I got to get ready for this Pro Bowl now. I got to go play this Pro Bowl now, right? So I think when he said that, the team was like, oh, shit. This is worse than we thought. This guy's out of his mind. He doesn't even know what day he's living in. He thinks we've already played the Super Bowl, and this is Saturday. So So then that's when they determined that they're gonna have to sit him and send him home, send him on his way, right?
They should have just told him the Super Bowl was the Pro Bowl and let him rip.
Right. Yeah, man, Pro Bowl, San Diego, it's right here. Gotta have it right now.
Yeah,
that's right.
So then that's when everything falls apart even further, right? Aside from guys being up in arms about the playbook, now their center is not going to play, and that was devastating. That was devastating to the players. A lot of people felt like that dragged that team down, right? And then you know, Amy Trask was also quoted in there, and she said, you know, the day of, I saw him. Like the day before the game, I saw him, I spoke with him, and then I get a call from Alan and he says, Barrett's not playing. And I was like, what are you talking about? I just talked to him. He's like, fine, he's good to go. Like, why isn't he playing? Right? And he said it's been determined that he can't play. And she hung up the phone and said that she immediately just was basically crying to her husband, we just lost the Super Bowl. You know, and that's the day before the game. So that's the kind of devastation that's set. I think the players did their best to just suck it up, right? Because that's what football players do. It's like, yo, we don't have time to be concerned about somebody's well-being. We don't have time to be concerned about somebody's injury. Like, we still got to play this game. Like, you're still healthy, right? You're still good. So you just need to go out there and play and win this game. So I think everybody in their best possible way tried to do that. But it's clear that there was a lot of shit on people's minds, and that they didn't go into that game 100% at all. And we know the devastation that was that game. So
let's talk about that, because I was putting rub on my ribs when that news came over the radio, and I was like, fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And then people started showing up to the house, and I was like, God damn it. So, Kane, let's start off this conversation, man. Super Bowl 37. Barrett Robbins or not, do the Raiders win that Super Bowl with Barrett Robbins at center with the modified game plan?
No. They don't win. Modified game plan.
Great show, guys. We'll see you next week.
Modified game plan. You lose.
So let me ask you this question.
Jay pretty much summed it up. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the whole segment, he pretty much summed it up for you right there.
No, we're not done. You had a lot to say about this before we got started. Turn off the TV, bro. Let's get into this. See that TV shining on you right now. Busted you already. Turn it off, bro. You already know you're watching the Mexican weather, lady. Turn off the television, bro. Go check it out. Now, the rumor is that when Barrett Robbins was out, that might have factored into Callahan's decision-making. I question that. Adam True got in there. He is definitely smaller than Robbins. He's not the type of road grader Robbins is. But watching the game, you know, did you feel like Barrett Robbins' absence had as much to do with the loss as it was made out to be at the time? Can that team win behind Adam True with a rush-heavy attack?
Maybe. What we do know about Adam True was that Adam True was a better pass blocker than he was a run blocker. We do know that, so if you look it up. So, with that being said, I think Callahan probably saw that as a, okay, this guy can't beat the tackles. You facing one of the best defensive lines in the history of NFL. And you got Adam True, who is good at pass blocking, but not so good at run blocking. So, fuck, man. I don't even want to validate his reason to change the game plan on a whim like that. Yeah, he probably couldn't run block, but is that something you want to do when you got the team juiced and pumped to win? As far as listening to that interview, you got the team, juiced and pumped prior to the Friday change of the game plan, they was ready to go. They wasn't even practicing with Barrett. I mean, what they was, but then, okay, still they juiced and pumped. I think even Adam True, I don't know, man. You know, we talked about this, and I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. All I can say is we should have stuck with the game plan that they was more confident with. How about that? The players said they was confident in running the ball. Then you should have stuck with that. Even though Barrett Robbins wasn't there after Friday, you still should have stuck with the game plan. I think that played a big part in that played a big part in us losing. You know,
do you think the game plan was changed because of Barrett, or do you think it was?
No, I don't. I think no, it wasn't changed because of Barrett, because Barrett was there. I think that set Barrett off into his very manic statement.
Hold on. What I'm saying? Besides the mental health issues, keep in mind Barrett Robbins was at about 60% going into this game. Both him and Charles Woodson were dealing with injuries. Charles Woodson had a broken fibula, had a steel plate in his leg. Barrett Robbins had a bad knee coming out of that Titans game, which they say might have factored into it. Was it that? Do you think it was his ego, or was it an act of sabotage? What do you think?
I think it was his ego. I think it was, you know what? It wasn't his ego. Listen, I think if I worked with Kenny and we was a coach of a team, and we've been coaching this team for whatever many amount of years that we've been coaching together, and you obviously get traded away. So like I'm devastated because like my homie just got traded to another team, and now the owner of the team that traded my partner just said, you know, okay, fuck it, you could be the coach because the players rooted for you to come in to be the coach. You know what I'm saying? So you got to start from there first, and then you go through the season, you know, and you can flash back to Tim Brown saying we tried to get this dude fired in 98 and 99 because he was nonchalant. He don't give a fuck about the players. He don't care about the team or the organization. He's just, it's a job for him. It's nothing else more than that. And then they still stand up for this guy because we don't want to change coaches. So let's just keep it in house. All right. Lincoln Kennedy comes on and says, let's keep this shit in house. You know what I'm saying? So we do. We go with Callahan. All right. So you go on this thing with Callahan, and he comes in as Anthony Dorsett says, and Anthony Dorsett says it in a meeting like, I don't need no new friends, Callahan. I don't need no new friends. I understand. We're here to win. Okay. So right there, the players, you're talking about 53 motherfuckers, men, grown ass men, not kids, men. And then you don't have no relationship with these dudes. You know what I'm saying? But let's just win. Okay, so we go 4-0. Right? Okay. So something happened, because then guess what? We went 0-4. You know what I'm saying? So at some point, the players should have said, or they did say, we're playing for ourselves, like Anthony Dorsett said. We're playing for ourselves. So now you go into a situation where the coach don't matter. So let's just fast forward to the Super Bowl. Okay, so now you get there, and he gives you a game plan, and then you juiced about them pump. Like, okay, we finna whoop these motherfuckers. Okay, we good with that. You know what I'm saying? And then you come in and you change that motherfucker at the last minute. Pretty much as a football player is concerned, this is the last minute. You change the game plan at the last fucking minute. We already didn't trust your ass from the gate, right? Because in 98, 99, we tried to get your ass fired. So we don't trust your motherfucking ass from the gate. Now, nigga, you want to come in and change the motherfucking game plan too? You know what I'm saying? Today, fast forward to today, you want to change it? What the fuck? This is what we've been talking about. All right, so how do you feel as a player going into that game? Do you feel confident? I wouldn't. You know what I'm saying? I damn sure wouldn't. I don't trust this motherfucker. Why would I? Why? So you're from Friday, Barrett sees this and tells the coach, please, 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 please don't do this. Don't do this. I can't prepare. I don't have enough time to prepare. And then you got Simeon Rice, the quitter that came to Oakland after that. You know what I'm saying? You got these motherfuckers as the tackles. Then you got the ends. You got the best defensive line or front seven that they said this on the video, front seven in the history of the NFL at this time. And so he's not ready to prepare for this. He's manic depressive. He's bipolar. He doesn't understand at this time. He's bipolar. So all this shit coming into play. Who started this shit? Was it Barrett Robbins or was it Bill Callahan? It was Bill Callahan, because Barrett Robbins prior to Friday was doing Barrett Robbins. He was doing what the fuck he do and what he always had been doing prior to games that you as an organization have been allowing. You understand? So you come in and you change a fucking game plan, and this motherfucker tell you, I'm cool, I can't do that shit, and then you don't listen. Guess what? It's all on the head coach, you arrogant bastard. Instead of paying attention to the people that's running the shit that you planned out to run, you decided to stick with your own game plan, nigga, when you don't even step on the fucking field to play. And they telling you this is what we should do.
Not only that, dude, but I'm not sure if you guys caught this, but throughout the whole game, I was looking at Callahan and he just looked like a limp fish. You need somebody out there to be a leader. You're a fucking coach. You're no longer a position coach. You're no longer a QB coach. You're no longer a coordinator. You're in charge of the whole crew. You're supposed to rally the troops, man. And that was one of the most disappointing things that I saw on that field is, I mean, your troops, they can, you know, their spirits can get down, but you're supposed to rally them back up again, man. And I didn't see that with Callahan, dude. All I saw was just him there, just looking all upset and just sad and like, all right, cool, let's see what we can do. I mean, it was embarrassing, bro. And to think that in reality, nothing really changed from the plays. I mean, dude, you had Gruden playing Gannon with the defense, telling him, if I do this, if I make this call, and I started paying attention to that, obviously after the interviews. This is the first time I've actually watched the whole Super Bowl, but since the interviews, I actually started paying attention, and you could see, man, Gannon makes a call to the left, and then you see all the defense rush to the left, and boom, they just stuffed the hole right there, dude. And it's crazy because one of the things that I really like about the mic'd up, the thing, you know, you're able to hear when the players are on the field, when they hit somebody, when they're just talking shit, this and that. But one of the things that I caught on the mic'd up is they had John Lynch mic'd up, and he says, I quote, he says, Mike, every play they run, we ran in practice. I know. It's unreal. End quote.
Yeah, he said that.
I mean,
Bobby, let me ask you a question. If the coaches had been on opposite sidelines, did we win that Super Bowl?
Oh, yeah, of course, man.
Absolutely.
All day, dude, because as Kane said, man, the players had a coach that was a diehard, man. That coach, they loved to play for him, man. They wanted to play for him. When Callahan came on, it was a matter of routine. It's like, well, you're in the family, so we're gonna go ahead and support you. It wasn't like nobody was ecstatic to have this guy holding the reins and nothing like that, man. So,
and you know what? I'm gonna tell you the reason we can see this now is because you go 4-0, and then you go 0-4, right? Let's not forget about that. We was like, man, we 4-0. Fuck. You know, as a Raider fan, I was juiced and pumped about that. You know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden there was a breakdown somewhere. And it wasn't the players, it was coaching. I think something happened after the fourth game that said, we don't like this dude. And then you lose 4 games. And I think the veterans on that team said, no. We have a team that we're on the cusp. Fuck this dude. Let's go out and do what Mark Trestman. Let's run the game plans and do what we do. Rich Gannon, whatever the case may be, kept the team together. The veterans, Rod Woodson, Tim Brown, Charlie Garner, Jerry Rice, they keep the team together and say, okay, we've went through a collapse here. And I think in the game, the Veterans Day game with Rod Woodson intercepted Brian Greasy and ran it back to the fucking house. That was when everybody else said, okay, we playing for each other. That's when I think that point. We got to think about, how did the fuck did y'all lose 4 games in a row? You did it on purpose. You don't like the fucking coach. Somebody stood up and said something somewhere. You don't lose 4 games in a row as a number 1 offense in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's just.
This game got off to a weird start. Both teams very sluggish in the third quarter. I think the third quarter ends like 6-3 or something like that. The Raiders drive down the field on their first drive. They stall out near the red zone. Janikowski puts the first points on the board. And then that's it. It's silence for the Raiders until the fourth quarter. 5 3-and-outs in a row. A lot of people tried to blame our defense during this game, but we've said it before in relation to the current team right now. You hang your defense out on the field for that many. You don't give them time to rest. The levee is bound to break, and that's eventually what happens.
Dude, the defense was actually doing good the first quarter, man. I mean,
I don't even know why we
held them to 2 punts. I mean, to 2 field goals, bro. Our defense was doing good. I don't even know
why we even talking about this shit, man. It was all a setup, man. Not a setup on purpose, but it was just it happened. Bill Callahan is a bitch. He never
we're talking about it because
game plan. Yeah,
we're talking about it because we're a Raiders podcast, and
I mean, no, bro. I don't mean it like that. I'm just like, we talking about it. And as I think about it, I'm just like, there was nothing we could have done to make this shit better. Bill Callahan was a bitch. Stick with the fucking game plan. And if you lose, then you lose with the players being agreeing with what you started out with. You gave which they don't. And I as a football player, they would never say, oh, that was the reason, or this was the reason, or maybe they did. But, I think if you stuck with that game plan and then you lost, the players would not have nothing to complain about. They lost because they felt like their coach never had their back from the beginning, not from the Super Bowl, not from 2000 season in an AFC championship. No, 98, 99. These guys said, we don't want this guy. They went to the owner, said, we don't want this guy. The owner said, whatever, Gruden, whatever. They buddies. This is my partner. I ain't finna fucking fire this dude, or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? So he was there. Then he ended up being the coach. All that disconcern from this dude, from 98, 99 to up to the time that they went to the Super Bowl, there was a story for each one of those years that happened. And then at the end of that story, they found out he wasn't loyal to the team. What else can you say? We lost that Super Bowl because of Bill Callahan, not because Barrett Robbins went freaked out or whatever. You caused Barrett Robbins to do that. He was all right. And as a matter of fucking fact, he was okay when Amy Trask, like Chase said, saw him in the fucking lobby of the hotel room. You could have let that dude play in. I guarantee you.
How much the Pro Bowl?
Up and went out there and fucking played. I guarantee you he would have suited up and went out there and played. Guarantee.
It's a Pro Bowl, Barrett. It's a Pro Bowl. Go get your money, dog.
Go get your paper, baby. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever the case may be.
And just to illustrate kind of how dramatically this game plan changed, we had heard originally it was Wheatley, Crockett heavy. Both Wheatley and Crockett got 0 carries in this game. If I didn't look at the stats, but watching the game today.
No, you know what? I caught a Crockett carry, a couple. So in the what was that? The third series, okay? The third possession of the Raiders, they actually came back and it looked like they were like, okay, let's try something else because this shit ain't working. Mm-hmm. And they went back-to-back runs with Crockett. The first down, run for 4 yards. Second down, run for 2 yards. And then they fucking threw a pass, incomplete, and then they had to punt the ball away. And then after that, it was kind of like, well, we tried.
You got Tim Brown, you got Jerry Rice, and you got Bill Callahan, and you think, okay, I got the two best wide receivers in the game right now. You know what I'm saying? I got the best quarterback in the game right now. We can throw the ball all over these motherfuckers. I can see that. But
Rice had 0 catches in the first half. I think Rice and Brown combined for less than 7 receptions total in this game.
The interceptions and the dumb shit. I mean, how else can you?
You know what? And the game plan, even though it was passing, it was a lot of there was a lot of passes. It was like it was like the complete opposite. It's like what Tim Brown described. Tim Brown said they told Charlie Gardner, don't expect to get the ball very much. Like you're just gonna have to celebrate with us and just enjoy that you won. And then they did the complete opposite, and it was like a game plan all about Charlie Gardner. Run the ball with Charlie Gardner, throw outs, screen passes to Charlie Gardner, throw out to Charlie Gardner. It was like none of the passes were being thrown to the receivers, and when they were almost intercepted or fucking intercepted. And that was
but you know what though?
Man.
Okay, to talk about that, the players on Tampa Bay also spoke in that interview, and they said, "Look, man, we've been practicing against, and I've heard this before the interview. We've been practicing against this team this offense for a whole year.
Yeah,
the checks, he was using the same fucking checks. You know what I'm saying? He was using the same language.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So why would you do that in the Super Bowl? Why would you do that? And the defensive players is like they want to say, "Oh, Barrett Robbins," but you using the same checks that we already been listening to all fucking season. Don't try to say John Gruden came in. This is what they say. I'm not saying this. This is what they say. Don't try to say he came in and showed us everything. We already been hearing this shit all year, but we already saw the film of John Gruden playing Rich Gannon quarterback on film. Anyway, so thing is you knew this dude knew all your shit. You go in, either you gonna go in arrogant and say, "Look, I don't give a fuck what he did, but you should have kept your game." I guess the game plan, because the players, they was cool with it, right? Okay, so if you're gonna keep the same checks and shit, then keep it when the players are excited about it. If you're going to not keep the same checks and shit and change the whole shit up so we can, be away from what they know. I don't know, bro. I'm when I listen to this shit, it's like, wow, it's so much to digest. It's like, man, dude, the checks, this, that, blah, blah, blah. Changing the plays, changing the game plan. That's a lot, man. That's a lot to digest.
I think I think the best way to describe it, man, is the Raiders were on the bad side of a perfect storm, right? You have your opposing coach, right? Your coach from the year prior, who's basically the brainchild of everything that you do on offense, right? And here you come in boasting the best offense in the league at that time. But he's the one that crafted your offense. So he knows every single in and out of your offense. Not only that, it would be different if he was just the guy that created that playbook that somehow ended up in Bill Callahan's hands. But he knows every single one of your actual players in detail, in person. He knows their strengths, he knows their weaknesses, right? So he has that additional intel to be able to tell his players, like, this is what I know this guy does, because this is what I got to fucking correct every fucking day in practice. When I tell him, don't do this, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So he'll have that. Okay, you have the game plan being one way on Friday. I mean, one way on Monday, and then changing back to the opposite on Friday. You have a Barrett Robbins losing his mind, set off by a whole series of events, I would say. And then, you just have a team that's just defeated going into the game. Because I don't care what anybody says, like, you lose a guy you've been riding with a whole fucking season. Adam True wasn't that guy. Yes, Adam True had played plenty of games for the Raiders. He was a starter at one point, but he wasn't that guy that season. And I don't care what anybody says. You can pump a guy up and be like, we're behind you, bro. You got us. Like, we got you. You got us. But the bottom line is, you know who that guy is. There's a reason why he's a backup, because he's not going to give you the best chance to win. Mm-hmm. That's what backups are. Backups are guys that do not give you the best chance to win. Starters are your best chance to win, and your starter was gone, and the captain of your offensive line. So, yeah, people probably were like losing their minds, and they're probably like, this is some shit. This is some bullshit. We got to deal with all this shit right now. And they went in there and tried to put on a confident face and try to say, like, yo, we're gonna go out here, we're gonna win this game, right? But I think the writing was on the wall, and it's sad, and I don't know. I think that's a question we'll never be truly able to answer.
No, they won like three or four games with Adam True as the center in that season. Barrett got hurt a little bit along the way.
Right,
so remember when they was passing the shit out of everybody, was throwing the ball. Adam True was the center then.
And that might be the case, but what I'm saying is at the end of the day, you know who gives you the best shot to win. And in the Super Bowl, you don't want a backup in there, dog. Like, in the Super Bowl, not in the most important game of your life.
Not against the best 7 in history or one of.
Exactly. At that point, that season, they were the greatest defense in history, right? Baltimore comes around later and whatever. But at that
Baltimore
point,
was
Baltimore was prior. Baltimore
them
was
and
prior,
the 85
right?
Bears, right? We can talk about that, but look at the numbers, right? Tampa Bay runs the ball 42 times in that game. The Raiders ran the ball 11 times in that game.
Yep.
Rich Gannon sacked 5 times. Yep. 22.
5 interceptions.
5 interceptions. Brad Johnson sacked 0 times, right? A lot of people make a big deal about the pick sixes. They came at the end of that game.
Yep.
The first interception Gannon throws to Dexter, he's running and throwing the ball across his body to Doug Jolly, puts the ball way in front of Doug Jolly, route gets jumped. Yep. Second one he throws, Rondé Barber blitz up the middle. True can't pick it up. It's one of like 2 rushes he can't pick up in the game. Who's in the backfield playing single high? It's Dexter. He cuts over and snatches the ball. The only speed we have on that offense at the time is Jerry Porter and
Charlie Garner. And Charlie
Garner. Yeah. And Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice was still fast. He was still fast.
Old though, man. Not elite speed is I think what I think that
was Jerry Rice's last year of elite speed, but he still had it.
That was like Jerry Rice's last year before Seattle. So I'd have to disagree. Jerry Rice and Tim Brown were not fast that year. Not at all. Not at all. Jerry Rice's route running was what allowed him to get to the position. It was not at speed. And so you see that. The defense came to play, at least in the beginning of the game. Tampa Bay has, 4 drives yielding 3 points. But at that point, we have 5 3-and-outs. The defense eventually breaks down. They are completely gassed at that moment. And we played right into their hands. But I think we could just bottom line this and say, let's stop blaming Barrett Robbins and the drama and the distractions that may or may not have caused for this loss. I think we can all agree that the blame gets placed firmly on Bill Callahan's shoulders. So, Bobby, what are your last words for Bill Callahan, man? Let's send this dude off proper. What are your last words?
I'm just gonna use some very presidential words right now. Sad,
Perfect.
That's it. Sad.
Yeah, wash it off. Bro.
Hey, Bobby, did he compromise the game, bro? That's what we need
yeah,
to hear
dude,
that
most
from.
definitely, bro. I mean, come on, dude. When you see the farthest that we ever got on that field to our own 40, like there was times, when we scored, but that's only when we actually bombed it way the hell down the line past the secondary. That was the only time when we were actually able to get past them. But besides that, it was always once we start sneaking into the 40 to the 50, all of a sudden coincidences start happening and we just getting stopped or we getting picked. I mean, you said it perfectly, Kenny. You just see dudes sitting there waiting, knowing where the ball's going to come, and then just jump the route. I saw it happen too many damn times, dude.
That first pick six, there's 5 DBs on that play, all just reading Gannon, just playing zone, sitting back, watching Gannon. That's it. We had 58 yards in the first half to their 200, right? Regan Upshaw lived offsides in that game. How sick and tired of you were you from seeing Regan Upshaw getting flagged for offsides in that game?
So you see this obvious BS, this coincidence that's happening the first half. You see it happening. My question is, why the fuck didn't you adjust to it? That's the thing that you're supposed to do.
And that's what I'm talking about, my brother. What happened in that locker room at halftime? Why didn't y'all fucking change shit up? Like, this
it
don't
should have
work.
been, you know what? It should have been like in Varsity Blues, where they just told the coach, you stay here, we're gonna go play.
Or you know what? Bill Callahan should have said, fucking scrap it, go back to the fucking guide to a championship playbook.
But you know what?
Let's go back to that.
But that's the problem, though, is that I don't think that there was anything left for Bill to say in that, right? At that point, the team was like, you fucking screwed us. I think in a lot of ways, they were like, you screwed us. Like, you set us up for fucking failure. Because the playbook, the changes, but most importantly, Barrett Robbins losing his fucking mind. And if like more of the players were feeling the way Tim Brown felt, Tim Brown's like, that's what set this motherfucker off the deep end. Okay, maybe he wasn't all the way the fuck there to begin with, but this shit, you put this guy in the spot where now it's all on him to figure this shit out last minute. Yeah, you broke
fucked Barrett Robbins. You broke him. You fucking broke Barrett Robbins.
And you want to run heavy offense. You got Barrett Robbins, who's like 325 pounds versus Adam True, who's like 290 pounds. It's just a big difference. Kane, can you move your lighter? Because it looks like it's about 6 feet tall right now.
Sorry about that.
So anyways, I mean, that's it. We relived it. We all watched the game again for your pleasure. You can see this later.
Not ours. Not our pleasure.
Surely not mine. Fuck. I don't even want to talk about this shit.
Let's do a really quick update on the stadium. No real news to report here. It's just that it looks fucking sweet. That stadium looks badass. There was new footage released this week. You can check it out on the Raiders official YouTube channel. It appears that the screens are fully operational. The seating is all fully installed. They have the temporary field in there, getting to you, Che. And everything in that bowl seems to be complete, right? No updates on the concessions, the locker rooms, the behind-the-scenes areas. But that stadium looks about ready for game day. I don't foresee there being any problems except for the fact that there may not be any fans there. We talked about that last week. Before we take a break, Che, he's got another chill out of crack. It's already been cracked.
It's done been cracked. I couldn't help myself, man. I was getting thirsty over here. I was like, man, I'm just gonna have to jump into this. But this bad boy right here, this is coming at you from Creative Creature. Okay, Creative Creature Brewing Company. This is a hazy IPA, and it is called the Haze-cendence.
Damn.
All right, and like I said, another hazy. But look at the colors is different, right? It's a little deeper color. I would say it's less cloudy than the one that I was drinking, the My Hoppy. And this is coming in with a little bit more of an orange, a little more tangerine flavor. Okay, the bitterness is at the end, but it's a lot more mild. It's a lot more chilled out. and this bad boy's coming in at 6.2 ABV. It's still good, man. It's still good. I'm never displeased with these beers. I'm always happy to drink them.
What beer are you displeased with?
The only thing that can make a beer better is when it's free. That's
right. All right.
But
so,
shout out Creative Creature.
That's your stadium update. Let's take just a quick pause right here. And during this pause, Che is going to update you on what it's going to take to win this beautiful piece of art. And Che, can we modify this a little bit? Because I know we started late today.
Yeah.
Can we somehow modify this for people that are watching on the replay? Right.
I think so, man. I think that's fair. But you know what? So here's
before you do that, how many entries do we have right now?
Well, I mean, that's gonna take some work, dog. We don't have that kind of time on our hands in the middle of a show. It's one of those things we're gonna have to wait and see. But I do know that Silky Slim, shout out Mike, already made his post and already hashtag PJ4F on Twitter. I saw it. Shout out to you.
I see no hashtag, Silky.
Silky Slim. But look it. So this is we're doing y'all a favor, man, because we're looking at the chat and it's a lot of the regs, which I would rather, in a lot of ways, they're deserving of it because they're here week in, week out. But this is the thing. We got this beautiful painting. A lot of hard work and hours went into this. This was not easy. If you guys go on my IG, you guys saw the process. That is a very short-cutted process that I put out there for you guys. It did not happen that quickly, okay? It took a lot of time. But this beautiful Bo Jackson painting can be yours if you are tuned into the Pillaging Podcast. And right now, the current rules were for you to be here live. Now, we're aware that some of you guys are in other parts of the world, and maybe that's not so easy. So to our boys like Damage that are out there, we don't want to cut them out of this contest. So this is what you can do. And I think this is a fair way to kind of add some of these people that maybe have no possibility of getting on here. And this is not to show that we don't appreciate everybody that is here live right now, but show that you are actually watching this live stream, okay? It is important to us that this live stream gets viewed because right now this live stream is allowing us to do some more things, providing us with a little bit of money, not a whole lot of money, but it's providing us with a little bit of money at this time that, as Kenny told you at the beginning of the show, is going to allow us to upgrade a lot of things that we want to be able to provide better content, okay? The studio needs to be upgraded. Kenny's over there sweating in his tank top, right? We need AC up in this place, man. Maybe we need to put some new insulation in this house too. It's 90 degrees, bro. So let me tell you something. Gilroy, California is no joke. Okay, the heat is for real. Okay, the heat is
that's Southern California.
Yeah, Kenny. Kenny got that asbestos, man. That's why the house is so damn hot.
But your boy, the studio sits at top of Kenny Stapler's pad, and so as we all know, heat rises.
He rises like a motherfucker.
Okay? If the studio was in the basement, your boy Kenny might be all right. But right now he's cooking. He's looking a little glistened right now. Okay, so we need to get some AC up in that place. And the only way we're gonna do that is through accruing a little bit of funding through this YouTube channel. So we need to bring more people over here. We need to bring more people onto this video. That's what our real goal is, man. Our goal is and it's not even that. It's just be here. Being here brings us more attention, brings us more funding through ways of commercials, whatever that may be. But if you guys want to drop that money in the chat, we appreciate that too. Right? Mm-hmm. So
$1, baby.
Take a screenshot of you viewing the actual live feed. Okay. And I don't know. You want to get creative here, Kenny? Because I mean, anybody can pull up the video on YouTube and just say, like, see, I was watching it. So maybe we need to ask them drop us a comment about one of the topics that was actually talked about on the live chat. I want to see if you guys actually are paying attention.
No, let's just make it simple. Subscribe, give us a thumbs up on this episode, hit the bell, and take a screenshot of that. We want to see that you did all three of those, and post it to Twitter or Instagram with the hashtag PJ4F. That's very important. There's a lot of submissions already. The only way we could filter these out is with that hashtag. So
PJ4F.
Make sure you use that hashtag. So if you're watching it on the playback, you couldn't be here live, it didn't fit your time zone, that's fine. Make sure you go back, like, subscribe, hit that bell, take a screenshot of that so we can see that you hit all three of those things, and hashtag PJ4F. We already have some submissions of folks that are doing it wrong. You guys will not be entered into the drawing unless you hit all four of those things: the hashtag, like, subscribe, and the bell, and send it to us. If you're not on social media, email it to us. You know the email, pillaging4fun@gmail.com. Somehow or some way, get it to us. Take that screenshot, send it in, win this beautiful painting. It's absolutely gorgeous when you see it up close. The attention to detail is absolutely phenomenal. And again, Bo Jackson himself, he signed off on this. So
yeah, and we appreciate that, man. That was we were hoping for it, but we weren't feeling like it was gonna happen. But he did. He did say great work. So we appreciate that, Bo Jackson, for you giving the seal of approval. And now everybody knows this is legit. Okay, so come on,
Bo.
Get
hey, Bo. If you join this entry, we can't give it to nobody else but you, bro.
No, that's not true. Bo Jackson, I gotta say this because we promised this to one of our listeners, and the listeners are getting this painting. But Bo Jackson, if you wanted something like this, it's not impossible. I could make it happen. So, but this is going to our listeners now. Okay, and Raiders, take down Elvis, get you one of these. Okay?
There you go. Oh man! All right, let's move forward, guys. We still have a lot of show to cover. We got this GROAT vote. Let's get through some of these brackets so we can get the vote back in your hands. I will go ahead and share my screen. Hold on one second. Let me close down a couple of these things there. Let me get JulesJordan.com off of here. All right. Only a few will get that. Okay. Hold on one second. Oh, I got to share my screen. Here we go. There, now it's going to work. Okay. Bang. All right, here we go. Here's our bracket. So let's start at the top, y'all. We got,
That's not hard.
Wait.
That first one's not that difficult.
Hold on. Yeah, this ain't that hard. Shout out to Jim in Davenport. Thank you for the donation, brother. You've done a lot already. This is for the AC Fund. Thanks for all you do, Kenny. Hey, thanks to me. Thanks for the other three gentlemen on the show too. Everyone's pulling their weight. Thanks for everything you do, JD. We appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
So the first matchup on our bracket tonight is Tom Flores versus Derek Carr. I'm gonna go ahead and just move this one forward.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's good. That's a good call. No need to ask.
No shade to Derek. It's Tom Flores all day. I think Derek would tell you the same thing. All right, the next one. This one want to be a little bit tougher for some folks right here. So ranked number 8 is Tim Brown. Ranked number 9 is Daryl LaMonica. Bobby, I don't know. Kane's trying to destroy his apartment. Bobby, what's your vote here? Tim Brown versus Daryl LaMonica. This is between the three of y'all. I'm staying out of this one.
I've heard a lot of people talk about how when Snake took over, they said that was the quarterback that the Raiders needed, because although everybody loved Daryl LaMonica because he could throw that fucking ball down the field, he was, the Mad Bomber. He just didn't have that edge that was a Raider. And like I said, I don't take nothing away from him because of his attitude or whatever the hell, but I mean, we want to have a Raider. And if it's between Tim Brown and Daryl LaMonica, for me, it's going to be Tim Brown. That's where I come from, because that's one thing that a lot of players, like I said, when Snake took over, they're like, dude, this is the cat right here. We can all work hard and we could all play hard together, and we're all still family and we get the job done. So, Timmy, no disrespect to you, Mr. LaMonica, aka the Mad Bomber.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we got one vote for Tim Brown. Go ahead, Che.
I mean, you know what? I'm gonna follow suit, just because I got an attachment to Tim Brown, man. Like, I mean, I grew up, my whole Raider fandom revolved around this man because he was for the most part one of the only positives that we had on this team. Like, for a long time, Tim Brown was the only part of this team that showed consistent excellence, right? And that shows in his ability to not just put up stats with subpar quarterbacks at times, overall bad teams at times, but you look at the stands, and 81 is visible, right? 81 hasn't disappeared. 81 is remembered. And the only thing that I would say is that I'm sad that Timmy B didn't get that Super Bowl, man, because if there was somebody who was deserving and didn't get the opportunity, was kind of, you know, cheated of that, Timmy B is definitely that guy. That's no disrespect to Daryl LaMonica, though, because I was gonna look this up because I saw something about Daryl LaMonica's actual record, and his wins versus losses was very, very spread. There was a humongous difference. I think it's something like 60 wins to 20 something losses, 61 wins to 20 something losses, somewhere in that area, which tells me that the guy could get some wins, man. The guy was putting up W's.
He was voted AFL MVP twice in his career, back-to-back season.
There you go.
He won an AFL championship. His winning percentage as a starter was 900, 40 wins, 4 losses, and 1 tie in 45 games, the best ever.
Even better. Even it was even crazier than the numbers that I was throwing out there, man.
Helped set the culture of the Raiders as a vertical passing team, obviously nicknamed the Mad Bomber. He won 3 straight Western Division titles, 3 AFL and 1 AFC, and 1 American Football League championship. 3-time American Football League All-Star, twice selected as AFL's MVP, like I said, in 67 and 69, actually. He went 66, 16, and 4 as a starter in NFL history. The dude was putting up numbers.
There's no way
man.
you don't. Yeah, there's no way you don't choose him over Tim Brown. What the fuck?
Played in Super Bowl II against the Green Bay Packers. You know.
Yeah.
And like I said,
hands
this
down.
is my vote. Like I said, my vote for Tim Brown comes from the fact that I'm an '80s baby, man. So, you saw what you saw, and you saw who helped you become a Raider fan. Okay. Just like Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson wasn't a part of this team for very long. It was a very short-lived, but a lot of motherfuckers, I'm not gonna say most, but a lot of motherfuckers are Raider fans because of Bo Jackson. Okay, a lot of motherfuckers are fans of the Raiders because of Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson doesn't even enter into the categories of stats or leaders or anything like that for the Raiders.
I beg to differ that.
Well, that's because you're old. Hey, you're an older cat, Kane. We've already established that. You've been around, bro. You became a Raider fan long before Tim Brown and Bo Jackson were a part of the Raiders, and I respect that too. But there is a lot of motherfuckers like myself and Bobby that born and raised in the 80s, became Raider fans in the 80s, and you only know what you get to see. Right now we get to see a lot more. We got the internet at our hands and all that kind of stuff, but you still remember the moments that those players captured. And so for that reason, I lean towards Tim Brown, man. I'm sorry. What else can I say?
Don't apologize.
Most of the time,
yeah.
See, look, because most of the time, Kane, I ain't gonna deny it, bro. I usually go with the legends, man, the cats that basically set up the foundation. That's who I normally go with all the time. I'm not gonna lie, but at the same time, like Chet said, it's kind of also the cats that really got the attention of me at the time as well, of my fandom. And Tim Brown happens to be one of those guys. Like I said, ain't no disrespect to Daryl LaMonica. I mean, that cat, shit, No, can't you just say it, bro? You know, Super Bowl II, right there. You know, they actually did something, man. But for me, it would have to be Tim Brown all day, bro.
I gotta go with Daryl. I gotta go with LaMonica, man.
State your case, Kane. I mean, you already outvoted, but state your case.
I don't know why y'all think Tim Brown is somebody that could be better than Daryl LaMonica when he personifies what we are today. Without Daryl LaMonica, there could be no Tim Brown. The deep ball, speed in the receivers and the deep ball. And then if you want to say, okay, so we talking about Tim Brown versus Daryl LaMonica. Okay. I'm going Daryl LaMonica, man. I'm not even going to start talking about the old school. Look, I'm going LaMonica.
Talk about the old school, bro, because it's important to share some of the
old school. Okay, so then we should talk about Cliff Branch then. We should talk about.
I mean, Cliff Branch is coming up here pretty soon, so
we could talk about the receivers that.
Kane.
See, that's why I didn't want to start talking about it. Yeah.
All right. I mean, Kane, the vote right now is Tim Brown versus Daryl LaMonica. It's not Tim Brown, Daryl LaMonica, and Cliff Branch. He comes along later in this bracket. We put it out there. Che gave his reasons. Bobby gave his reasons. You said Daryl LaMonica, and I don't know why. Just fuck it. So that's your 2 cents. So Daryl LaMonica, you're outvoted, and we don't even know why. But let's move on. The next vote is Bo Jackson versus George Blanda. I'm gonna give my vote on this one. This is a tough one. I'm only gonna say Bo Jackson because he took the world by storm. When Bo Jackson
God, you did not say that. Okay.
Very reactionary from a guy that does not back up his votes. Zero backup for anything that you said so far. I'm going to try to give you mine. Bo Jackson, Che's right. He didn't have the stats compared to everyone else, but his stats, considering he was playing limited time and was considered the greatest athlete of all time when he was playing in 2 sports, is why he gets my vote. Bo Jackson was this entire offense for the time that he was here. Bo Jackson carried this team on his shoulders. Bo Jackson carried sports fan on his shoulders. If you were a kid during this time, you had a Bo Jackson poster. You opened every single wax pack of trading cards, hoping to get a Bo Jackson card in there.
It's true.
You wanted everything about Bo's commercials, Bo's video games. Everything was Bo Jackson. Bo knew everything, and everybody knew about Bo. Bo was a phenomenon in sports. He's legendary and transcends all sports. Bo Jackson is unmatched by athletes around the world to this day. We've seen Bo Jackson do things that nobody else has been able to do, running up an outfield wall. I mean, just absolutely insane monster, Bo Jackson. I mean, he gets my vote, Bo Jackson. So, Kane, you want to talk about it? Go ahead.
Please.
I know you're going to go to George Blanda, but I'm going to pass this. I want you to tell me why George Blanda deserves this vote and not why Bo Jackson doesn't, because this is what you do. You shit on everyone else's vote, but you never back up your vote. So I want to hear all the reasons why.
I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. And first, let me say this. I did not back up my LaMonica vote because, Kenny, you had already stated why he should be better than Tim Brown. You already gave his stats, AFC, this, that, and the other. So I didn't need to talk about why he should be my vote. You already stated that for me. Thank you. What I was saying was, okay, we want to talk about George Blanda, okay, as opposed to who's the other player? That's what I'm talking about. I don't even know.
Bo Jackson.
Yeah. Who are we talking about here? Bo Jackson and George Blanda. Okay, George Blanda played in the fucking AAAFL. Do y'all even know about that? I don't even think y'all know about that. Like there was a league before the NFL even got together. There was not even the AFL. I'm talking about the AAFL. Have you ever heard of that? I don't think you have. So He was playing in that league.
You don't know shit, man.
He was already playing. He was already playing in that league as he was already a star quarterback when he came here. You understand? So, John, I'm gonna say it like this.
Wasn't he like 47 when he got?
Yep. And John Madden said it himself. John Madden said it himself. Yeah. There's only one player that has 15 plays, and if those 15 plays don't work, we don't win the game. How many times did those 15 plays work? Okay, Bo Jackson, he carried a team. Did we win a Super Bowl? Did we go to a playoff game? Was we even a good team? Then we went to a playoffs. We went to mini playoffs. Buffalo 4 times. Though 4 times Buffalo went to the Super Bowl. The Raiders was in the AFC Championship against them 3 of those times. Did we go to the Super Bowl with Bo Jackson? We didn't. So you're starting to look at players as what they did when they was on the team. Okay, so let's look at players with what they did when they was on the team. George Blanda won games and championships at 46 years old, 50 years old, was still winning games as a quarterback and a fucking kicker too, not to mention. All right. Bo Jackson can play baseball. He can play football. But did he put the team on his back and take us to a Super Bowl? No.
I mean, the team was on his back. The team was on his back to the point where he got injured.
He didn't only play fucking 8 games a season, bro. He played baseball the fucking first 8 games of the season. We went like 4-4.
How many Super Bowls did George Blanda win?
No, wait. I'm sorry. Hold on. We went 4-4. This team waited on Bo Jackson to come before they start playing football. They waited on Bo Jackson to finish baseball before they even start playing football. This team was playing football with Blanda. 15 plays. If those 15 plays don't work, then we don't win games. Those are John Madden's words. 15 plays, those plays don't work, we win games. No one has ever said that about a quarterback, a player at all. Yes, you want to put this guy up here because he was the leading rusher for 8 games. We didn't do shit after that. And then he got hurt because he played baseball. So yes, I'm a Bo Jackson fan. I liked when Bo Jackson was here. I've been a Raider fan all my life. Am I finna say he should be picked over Blanda? Fuck no. Never. And I don't have to back up none of my shit. I'm going with George Blanda. And if y'all don't like my backup, you don't like my backup. I don't care.
So how many Blanda. You picked on Bo for not winning a Super Bowl with the Raiders, but how many Super Bowls did Blanda win with the Raiders?
He didn't win no Super Bowl. That's not the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is he was almost 50 years old, still making plays and doing things, winning games, bro. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. This is when football was football. This man was out here winning games at 50 when football was a beast. There wasn't all these different kind of, oh, we can't hit the quarterback. We can't do this, do that. This dude was a beast at 50, not 46, Shay, 50. So what I'm saying is I'm going Blanda. I don't care if y'all don't like it. I don't have to have all the stats and this and that to match it. If you're a Raider fan, you know George Blanda is the beginning of what we got. It's the beginning of right now. And if I talk to John Madden today, John Madden would say the same thing. You think he would take Bo Jackson over Blanda? I don't think so. That's just my point.
That's fair. That's fair. But I would take Bo Jackson all goddamn day. I would take Bo Jackson all goddamn day.
And we took him, and where did that take us? Where did that lead us?
And I'm going to tell you why. Okay. Because as I stated before, for a lot of motherfuckers that were born around the 80s, Bo Jackson came to this team in the late 80s to 90s, right? It's a short-lived but the impact that he made was felt worldwide, bro. Like this guy was an athlete that was at the top of all athletes. Okay, you had a motherfucker who was making Nike rethink their Jordan plan. Like Jordan was secondary to Bo Jackson. Okay, like Nike was ready to roll out a plan that focused on Bo Jackson, and then they were gonna see if they had time for Michael Jordan. Okay.
Yeah, I remember the Bo knows. Bo knows this. Bo knows that. I remember that.
He was that athlete. Okay, an athlete that I don't think has been seen since. Like that's the kind of athleticism that this guy had. Okay, power, speed, and just
George Blanda is today's Tom Brady, bro. George Blanda is today's Tom Brady.
Well, okay, that's cool, but that doesn't change how I feel about this, dog. And just like you said, you could be upset about it, but I still feel the same way. Because what I saw on the field was an athlete that was uncompared. Okay? You put Bo Jackson on the field and you let him do some shit. You put George Blanda on the field and you let him do some shit, and you tell me who's the better fucking athlete and who's the better person on the field.
George Blanda did good at his time. Have you ever watched George Blanda play a game?
I've seen some video of George Blanda. You're telling me anybody compares to Bo Jackson on the field? You watch a highlight of you watch some game film of Bo Jackson, you're telling me that somebody can compare to that guy? Hell no, dog.
I'm saying as a Raider.
That's like saying Jim Brown, bro. That's like saying, okay, because Jim, come on now. Like, you got to give it to the fact that a guy athletically is just better than every other fucking human being on the field. Was Bo Jackson's time short-lived? Yes. Okay. It was cut short. But that's the other thing about Bo Jackson is that he completely overshadows everybody, because everybody says, what if that motherfucker played 10 seasons? Would we even be having this conversation? Would we even be having a dispute?
But he didn't though.
And as far as what we got out of him,
kind of talent though.
I mean, shit, dude. Like Kane said, like Ches said, bro. I mean, Raider Nation is worldwide after that, bro. Like Raider Nation, it was big. You did have
Raider Nation was worldwide before that, man.
But come on, dude, it just became that much more prevalent, bro. You had rappers out there actually fucking sporting our fucking gear.
You already had
Raider fans,
bro. You had actors and you had people already supporting the Raiders prior to Bo Jackson even coming here. You know what I'm saying? If that's the case, you could say Marcus Allen brought fans here. Come on, man. Let's get please. Don't.
The chat's on fire right now. The chat is going absolutely ape shit right now. I'm gonna pose this question to you guys. If you were to add one of these two players to our current squad, which one makes the bigger difference? George Blanda or Bo Jackson?
Bo Jackson.
Obviously, Bo Jackson. Obviously, Bo Jackson.
So here's the other thing, Kane, is that you brought up that Madden commented about George Blanda. Okay, is that he had 15 plays, and if those 15 plays didn't work, that's not a player that transcends years, bro. Like, that's not a player that can transcend into any of the current game. Because
they was winning. They was winning, though. They was winning.
But a guy that's limited to 15 plays,
and they was winning. But they was winning. But they was winning.
But that tells you a lot about the player himself.
But they was winning.
I'm not gonna sit here and say that a guy like George Blanda, who was limited to 15 plays, and without those 15 plays being successful, he wasn't successful, and say that guy is the better athlete. I just can't say that. I can't say
because the guy scored touchdowns that he was the best player to ever play for the Raiders either.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that he's better than George Blanda. I'm not saying Bo Jackson is the best player to ever play for the Raiders. I'm saying, in my eyes, he's better than George Blanda. Mm-hmm. You're talking about him playing only 8 games. In those 8 games, he cracked 1,000 yards in 8 games.
Well, 950, yeah, 9 in 89.
Like,
and you look at the impact that Bo Jackson had on the 89 Raiders and the 90 Raiders, and the squad that he had around him, which was
Jay
left a lot
Schrader.
tired. Yeah. Versus, George Blanda, who was a part of, what was voted the greatest NFL football team of all time. He wasn't the quarterback at that time, but, he was surrounded by Hall of Fame talent, all pro talent when he played as well. So I understand that this is an intense argument, and both players will go down in Raiders lore as some of the greats to ever strap it on. But if I'm looking at the one person that had a greater impact on his squad, I'm going to have to go with Bo Jackson because he was feared by everybody.
True.
I'm disappointed in you, Kenny. All right. Okay.
It's true. And you know what? Maybe
I can open up the phone lines if you want more.
maybe we need to get other people.
You know what? They can talk shit if they want to. I don't give a fuck because they don't know.
Let's move on to the next one. Bobby, you lead this one off. This one should be easy. Marcus Allen versus Kenny King.
Oh, of course, Marcus Allen right there, bro. I mean, shit, dude. You had the man, but hey, I know Kane getting all upset with me right now, dog. But you know what though, dog? You have to give it up, dude. That tag team of Marcus Allen and Bo Jackson, dude, they were fucking great, bro. I have to go with Marcus Allen. That's my vote.
Marcus Allen, greatest fullback of all time.
Go ahead, Kane.
Nothing. I'm gonna go Marcus Allen, man. I'm not even gonna argue. Marcus Allen. No, I'm gonna go Marcus Allen. But you know what? What I remember from Marcus Allen, I do remember some good times with Marcus Allen. Trust me, I do. But I also remember the Al Davis, Marcus Allen struggles. Marcus Allen, we used to call Fumbleina. We used to call Marcus Allen Fumbleina. Marcus Allen used to fumble the ball on purpose. He used to do the shit at the critical time of the game when you didn't expect it. And you'd be like, this motherfucker just fumbled the ball. Yeah. So, you want to take Kenny King over. You want to take Marcus Allen over Kenny King. Whatever. I'm not even going to argue because y'all going to have all these stats and all this shit to talk about. But Kenny King won a Super Bowl. But Kenny King won a Super Bowl, and so did Marcus Allen. So if I chose to say I want to take Kenny King, there's no beef because when Marcus Allen had troubles with the league, with the organization, he futtered, and then he went on to play for our enemy, the Chiefs. What? He went on to play for our enemy, the Kansas City Chiefs. Yes, he did.
You can blame Al Davis for that.
And happily, well, we can, but happily did that. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. I'm gonna go with Marcus Allen, though.
Not only did Marcus Allen play in a Super Bowl, win a Super Bowl, but also had arguably one of the most memorable plays.
So did Kenny King. So what? Kenny King had the same.
For Raider fans.
As a Raider fan, Kenny King had a same play. Not similar to Marcus Allen, but he had a same play that sealed the game in 1981 against the Eagles, a touchdown, a pass from Jim Plunkett to Kenny King. He ran the ball downfield, 90-something yards, and scored a touchdown. So did Marcus Allen. So what? You want to take your pick? Who you think? Matter of fact, fuck y'all, I'm going Kenny King. You know what I'm saying? I'm going Kenny King because they did the same shit. They did the same shit.
We get it, Kane. Fuck y'all. Y'all don't know shit. We get it, bro. You think very little of our opinion. I get that.
No, stop. I care about y'all opinion, but I'm not finna. But we don't sugarcoat it on this show, right? We don't sugarcoat it on this show. So one of us got to be different. If we all say Marcus Allen, then what? We just move on to the next player, or y'all want to? You know what I'm saying? I'm going Kenny King. Because Kenny King made a play in the Super Bowl just like Marcus Allen did. That helped us win a fucking Super Bowl. So who do you really pick? They both made plays in a game.
One of the greatest running backs of all times.
Yep, that was a fumbleina at the end of his career with the Raiders. Yep. So he ended his career faulty with the silver and black. So, we was tired of Marcus Allen. We was ready to see Napoleon McCallum at that point.
So if we're playing a pickup game right now and you had Kenny King and Marcus Allen on the sideline, you'd pick Kenny King ahead of Marcus Allen. That's what you're telling me?
Okay, so if they're on the same team, come on, bro. If they're on the same team, obviously I'm going to take Marcus Allen. That's why I said at the beginning I'm going to take Marcus Allen. But they're not on the same team. They was
All
on
right, Bob.
different teams at a different time.
All right, Che. I already know Che's going Kenny King, Kenny, star, world famous athlete.
Hey, no, I mean, hey, like, no disrespect to Kenny King, and we know, he was an integral part of the Raiders team, winning that Super Bowl against Philadelphia, and I mean, he's also a legend in his own right, man. Listen, this list is comprised of legends, y'all. Okay, like for us to sit here and argue back and forth, like all these motherfuckers are worthy of these nominations and these votes. So that's cool. It's just preference, and it's just what you got to see. Okay, I'm not that old. I'm not that old. I'm old, but I'm not that old. Like I only got to see from the 80s on live, and that's the stuff that's most embedded in my mind. Now, do I go and I look at the other teams? Yes, obviously we do that, especially for this show, right? We go and we look at the other teams, we look at these other players, but that doesn't change the fact that certain players had an impact on me personally, right? I got to live life with these players, man. So of course they're gonna have a different place in my heart. You know, I can't speak for a person that I didn't see live. I didn't see any of those games in the 70s and 60s and all that kind of stuff. So maybe we're not the right team to do this, but this is what we got. We got to work with what we got. Okay, you got a bunch of 80s motherfuckers up in this building. Okay, got to deal with it, dog. This is the team you got to work with, son. So now, but I mean, look. Yes, we already know that Marcus Allen had his ups and his downs in the silver and black. A lot of that downs part is I think a lot of the fans from back then, they related to his gameplay, but at the same time, there's a lot of mind games going on between Al Davis and Marcus Allen. Basically saying you're not gonna fucking play running back no more, or you're gonna play fullback now, and kind of giving him the runaround and not favoring him as much, and whatever can be said about that. But
he fucked OJ's wife. That's why Al Davis was mad at him.
I'm cool with that. What's wrong with that? It's OJ, man. Like
I think that's another reason why I voted for Marcus Allen.
I'm cool with that.
I think it went beyond that, Bobby. That's the reason why. I think it went
that's
beyond
OJ,
that.
Man. Hey,
Marcus Allen became bigger than the Raiders, as did John Gruden, and both had the same fate.
And there you go. And I think when we had John Kingdon on, when John Kingdon was on, a couple years back, he spoke on that. He actually spoke on that. Like that was something that the organization as a whole, the people that were involved in the organization at the time, didn't really truly understand. It was like one of those things like nobody can shine more than the Raiders. Okay. And as soon as individual players started to get a little bit more shine, a little more recognition individually for being these great players that they were, there was like a battle, like a pushback, like, hey, slow your roll. Okay, slow your roll, John Gruden, I'll trade you. Traded, right?
Marcus Allen was LA at that time. He was USC. He was LA. And John Gruden
fed more into it.
Al Davis didn't want to draft him.
That fed more into it. And that fed more into it. Exactly. And so, but look at, man, all you got to do is look at Marcus's numbers, and people, like you said, Kane, people were done with Marcus and they thought, his career is over. Get rid of this dude. He's a chump, blah, blah, blah. And then he goes on to KC, which, yes, we don't love to remember that. But how many times did that motherfucker kill us when he did come back and play?
That's why I'm scoring touchdowns. Cool on Marcus.
But the bottom line was this: is it was the proof that we should not have let him go, because he had plenty more miles to go, and all those stats could have been Raider stats. Let's say that all those stats that ended up with KC, all those touchdowns that ended up with KC, those could have been Raider touchdowns. Okay, right, so you can't.
When I went I went and visited the Hall of Fame, and Marcus Allen, when he retired, the year he retired as a Chief and a Raider. So I went to the Hall of Fame, and I bought a football. I don't even know where that motherfucker is now. But the football had Marcus Allen. It had Marcus Allen on it, and then it had Raiders, Chiefs. I was so embarrassed about that shit. Like, dude, you went into the Hall of Fame as a Chief? Fuck you. You didn't do nothing as a Chief. You was a Raider. So no, I'm cool. I'm going Kenny King. Fuck Marcus Allen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. The real reason for pushing Bo and Marcus through, as you can see now in this second round, we got a matchup: Bo Jackson versus Marcus Allen, and that's
true. This is a pretty fucking elite.
Yeah, and to let you in on a little something too, Kane, I'm actually going to use that argument for that Bo and Marcus Allen head to head. I mean, I'm just gonna say it right now. That's actually one of my biggest things. So, bam. Thank you for saying that. We'll have Nicole Brown's family officiate that conversation. Is that bad? All right, let's move along.
Yeah, right. Kenny, that was bad.
You guys get a little bit of that Kenny from the crow's nest right now.
Kenny from the drink tank, bro. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Kane, we'll have you lead this one off so you can come in completely uninfluenced by anybody else's vote. How about that? Jim Plunkett ranked 6th versus Todd Christensen ranked number 11. Who do you got? Christensen?
Why would you give me that one?
Oh, and real quick, shout out to Damage. Damage, thanks for the Euros. Appreciate you.
Pillaging.
I'm going to have to go Plunkett.
Okay.
Plunkett won. Fuck. The Chris.
Is this where I go?
Yeah. I'm going. I'm gonna have to go Plunkett. It's really hard, man. I want to say Christensen. I do because
you know Shane's gonna say Christensen.
These is guys I grew up watching playing, and I hate they being dissed like this. But then you got two guys from the same era.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go Plunkett.
Bobby, what do you got?
Yeah, man. I mean, Todd Christensen has 2 Super Bowls. He does have the accolades, but so does Jim Plunkett. You know, Kane just said they from the same crew. They ran, next to each other. But I gotta give it to the homie, dog. I gotta give it to Jim Plunkett, man, because that cat made me proud, dog. Him and Tom Flores, dog. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Because this is for the raza, that's why, man.
Fuck yeah, bro.
All right, hit that Kid Frost.
Wait, we didn't get the okay, bro, from their people, man.
Damn.
So let me throw my vote in there. Jim Plunkett is probably one of my favorite Raiders of all time. But he was only a Raider for a short period, and he was hot trash when he played for New England. And he was hot trash when he played for the 49ers. But he did come in as an underdog, got a start after Pastorini went down, took this team as a wild card to this second Super Bowl championship. And, I would have to give this to Todd Christensen as a Raider for much longer, as an impact player, as a Pro Bowler. Todd, and I think Angry has said it best. Plunkett is the easy answer, but it's the wrong answer. And but I'm not gonna argue, guys, because I'm happy with both of these guys moving on. And it's tough that they're both against each other. Raider Roo's probably pissed off right now. Todd Christensen, Angry right here says that Todd was a lifelong Raider and was the first tight end in the NFL history to hit 3 1,000-yard seasons in 4 years, and missed the third year by only 17 yards by one play, basically. So, I'd say Todd Christensen redefined the tight end position in the NFL. He is the reason why tight ends are what they are today, in my opinion. So my vote is for Todd, but I'm not mad that we're pushing Jim Plunkett through.
And listen, man, and to top it off, Todd Christensen had the sweet hair, bro. Like he had that shit it was just flowing, bro. That shit, the Kentucky waterfalls were flowing down the back. It was curly. He had that Pat Riley in the front. and fucking party in the back, dog. Like he was raw.
That was that
rolling,
Tennessee
bro.
tuxedo, bro. That Tennessee tuxedo, bro. Yeah, man. I'm not mad because you know what, Jim Plunkett needs something, man. He needs something. They're not going to give him the gold jacket, so you know, I'm not mad right here. I know Raider Roo is steaming right now. Though Raider Roo is probably steaming right now. All right, so let's go to the next one. This one should be easy. I keep saying that. Ken Stabler versus Mark Van Egan. Che, what you got?
I mean, I got the snake, bro. Come on now. This is the legend of legends, bro. Like, this is the legend of legends, bro. We were just talking about Barrett Robbins drinking and being plastered and stuff and not being able to show up to the Super Bowl. This motherfucker showed up. Like, this motherfucker showed up no matter what. Okay, he was on a drinking bench, throwing up on the field most of the time and still getting it done. So you gotta respect that, man. Plus, he had them tight ass chops. I mean, hey, man.
I'll tell you this. Ken Stabler can go to Mexico, come back, and still win the Super Bowl if he wants.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. 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 I agree with that 100%. Yeah, no shade to Barrett Robbins, but Kenny Stabler would have showed up and showed the fuck out. That's right.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, Ken could have won the Super Bowl from Mexico.
Yeah, he could have won it from the bar stool he was sitting on. Shit.
A little sidearm. Get it past the burro. Get it past the burro, man.
setting up another great matchup. Probably a no-brainer, but still a cool one. You got two great quarterbacks, Jim Plunkett and Ken Stabler.
That is a great matchup.
Two great quarterbacks for the Raiders.
That's going to be a good one, man.
That's cool, man. That's a good conversation. We'll break that down. We'll get into these in a little bit more detail too, guys, as we move forward. I know a lot of this is just nostalgia right now. We're kind of riffing, but as this field starts to narrow down, we'll have more time to get into these, especially as we start getting back to like maybe 2 or 3 matchups per week. And I think we're going to leave it at bracket C tonight because it is almost 11 o'clock in the crow's nest right now. And so this is good, man. This is juicy, and we want this to stand on its own. So here's an interesting one. Fred Biletnikoff versus Rich Gannon. I'm gonna go Freddie B here. This guy's a lifelong Raider, stayed with the Raiders, been a Raider, got a chance to meet this guy several times in the tailgate. Very gracious person. Can't say that much about Rich Gannon, but I won't blame him for that either. We loved his fieriness. We loved how hot-headed he was. You know, he pulled this team out of the dark ages, but let's not forget he was a Kansas City Chief before he came here. Let's not forget he had a similar career trajectory as Jim Plunkett. Wasn't great until he got to the Raiders, but still came up short in a game that, in my opinion, he should have taken the reins in Super Bowl 37, turned, gave that bird to Callahan and said, fuck you. He did it many times to Gruden, didn't do it to Callahan in that game when he should have, and probably had the smarts, had the leadership, had the respect from his team that he could have taken the reins in that game and shifted the focus to it and maybe changed the outcome. We don't know, but he didn't do that. When it counted the most, he kind of rolled over, in my opinion. So that's my vote here. Who's next, man? Who wants to get in on this vote?
I'll go next. I'm gonna go Freddie B too. Obviously Freddie B, Super Bowl winning champion, legend, one of the greatest Raider receivers of all time, famous for his use of stickum. Didn't drop a motherfucking pass because it was stick to his shirt. It was stick to his goddamn shirt. Okay, Freddie B, man. Hey,
series too, bro.
Hey, man. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And if it ain't illegal, use it, dog. Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do, bro. Okay. Freddie B, man, shout out. But listen, Rich Gannon, I would say this, and I'm gonna go the opposite direction here, Jenny, because you're saying like he should have taken the reins and he should have said, yo, fuck you, I'm going to go a different route. And I think, yes, obviously as a fan that suffered through that loss, I agree with you. But in a lot of ways, I think Rich Gannon said, no, fuck you, I'm going to show you that I'm that good. And it came back to bite him. I think a little bit of ego got in the way of Rich Gannon during that game too, because he said, you know what, I'm hearing these motherfuckers say my oddballs. Well, fuck you, I'm still gonna make this pass. Like there's a lot to be said about that in football too. Like sometimes you gotta cut that ego down and do what's better for the team. And sometimes that ego gets in the way. I mean, we saw that. We've seen that with plenty of players, man. We've seen that with AB most recently. That ego was unstoppable. It's so unstoppable that it burned his ass up. And I think a little bit of that played into this Super Bowl loss for Rich. I think he said, fuck it, I'm not afraid, and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to show you that I am the MVP. And he came back to bite him too. So,
Bro, he didn't take his helmet off once during that game, bro.
No, he did.
Put that helmet on.
It was on the entire time.
It was on the entire time. And you know what's funny? What's funny about that is what Chase said, his ego. And I believe that. But I also believe that he was just a team player. So this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. You know what I'm saying? And he tried his best as a quarterback of the team to be that guy in that moment. He was that guy prior to that moment. So, yeah, why wouldn't he think I could be that guy? You know what I'm saying? But I'm not going to. At this point, I'm going to go Biletnikoff.
Got to, man.
They were
putting stick him in the Gatorade, bro. They were all about that shit, bro.
Yeah, Biletnikoff.
They want to make sure oxygen got stuck to their lungs, dog. That's why.
Hey, remember, dude, that stickum was part of the uniform, so it was cool.
If nothing else, I'm gonna go Biletnikoff because Biletnikoff is still a Raider.
Yep.
He's still a Raider.
Yep.
I just took a picture with this dude 6 months ago. You know what I'm saying? So I got to go Biletnikoff without a doubt, without a fucking doubt.
Like Dre said, still. Yeah. Freddie B. So this last matchup, Cliff Branch versus Charlie Garner. Hey guys, let's just move Cliff Branch on. Freddie B versus Cliff Branch in the next round.
Yeah,
right?
pretty much.
Right?
Speed kills. I mean, how the fuck are you gonna beat that?
So let's recap this. What we got Tom Flores versus Tim Brown. We got Bo Jackson versus Marcus Allen. We got Jim Plunkett versus Ken Stabler. And we got Freddie B versus Cliff Branch. Wow. That's a round. That's a round.
Yeah.
Someone's going to die on that episode, bro. One of us ain't going to be here no more, bro. Someone's going to die for that.
That's a hungry man dinner right there, bro. Every conversation right there.
Hey, everybody that's been complaining about the voting and everything like that, it's coming down to some hard decisions here. You know what I'm saying?
Feelings are going to get hurt, bro. Feelings are going to get hurt.
Yeah, it's coming down to a point where now you about to be pissed at these picks. You know what I'm saying? Including everybody on this panel. Shit.
Right. Well, that's why after this round, we're getting out of the way. We're going to let the fans vote because there's no way that we're going to come to an agreement on some of these by ourselves. We'll just let the numbers do it, and if it's close, we'll do that. Che, go ahead.
If we try, bro, we could just talk about one thing the entire 3 hours, bro.
Yeah.
Straight out, bro. It's true, man. I mean, come on, Freddie B, Cliff Branch. That's just a hell no, dude.
How are you going to even choose?
Just walking into a trap right there.
Like I don't even know how to pick one of the two already. I'm gonna have to go look in stats and shit. I'm gonna have to become a person that I'm not, a stat guy, and I am not.
We're gonna have to put names in a hat, man.
Yeah,
or, cardboard or something. Let's wrap this up with one more segment. Che had to go see a man about a horse. He'll be back soon. It's a lot of beer. Handle it, bro. Break the seal. Do what you got to do. We're not going to talk about the Jadaveon Clowney thing because the Raiders lowballed him. Man had 3 sacks last year, and that was a comeback season for him. So I think he's not worth $21 million. I'm just going to leave that right there.
If that's the case, you should have paid fucking Khalil Mack. Oh, well, yeah.
Right,
we're not going to talk about that.
Exactly.
So
exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's enough said, right? Enough said.
Yeah.
Kane put the nail in the coffin with that comment right there. That's 100%. Let's talk real quick about Henry Ruggs' Madden ratings, which were delivered to him by Ocho Cinco this past week. Actually got the full ratings for him, and I think there's at least one other Raider on that list. So let me open that up right here. First of all, the one thing that everyone's talking about, Henry Ruggs got the 98 speed rating. He's the second fastest player in the game behind Tyreek Hill, and he hasn't even stepped on the field yet. So as as Henry Ruggs said, he's just gonna have to show up and show him what it's all about and get that 99 before it's all over. So his overall rating was a 76. He's got a 98 speed, a 97 acceleration. His agility is an 87. His catch is only an 83. Only outmatched by CeeDee Lamb in this rookie class. So I like to see that. They gave him some respect on the hands. That's great to see. The other Raider on this list right now that they've released is Brian Edwards, who had an 88 speed, which is about right. His catch is rated at a 79, which I have a problem with. Brian Edwards catches everything thrown his way. He did have zero talent basically at quarterback over there at SC. Overall, though, he's a what's his overall rating? I don't have that right. Oh yeah, I do. His overall rating is a 70. I like that. I like that so far. I think Brian Edwards, though, by year 3 is going to be a standout. I think this guy's going to be a touchdown machine. Is there any of these ratings you guys have a problem with so far?
Brian Edwards, Tim Brown 2.0.
There you go. I like that. I like that. I do not disagree with that at all. Brian Edwards is a catching machine. You're going to see this guy's big. He's got hands. He's going to catch everything his way. He's going to be the new end zone, red zone target for Derek
Tim Brown. He's going to be the new Tim Brown.
Yep.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. If we got a Tim Brown, then what was that? The third round? The third round? Brian Edwards was the third rounder?
Yeah.
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 If we got a Tim Brown in the third round, come on, man. That would be dope. That would be amazing, man.
And who was the
Tim Brown
quarterback?
plus with a modern day Cliff Branch with that speed. Shit.
We basically with Ruggs and Brian Edwards, that's gonna be Tim Brown and Jerry Rice.
I hope so.
Gruden better fucking figure it out. Gruden better figure it out. It's all on Gruden. It's not on those players. If he needs to put those guys in a position where they become those guys.
Yep.
Well, I would say this about Gruden. I guarantee you he's already messaging them like, hey, you guys got to be great. Have you guys ever heard of Tim Brown and Jerry Rice? That's the kind of guys you need to be. I can see that. Like I visualize Gruden sending them fucking highlights of Tim Brown and Jerry Rice being like, this is what you have to live up to.
I could see him sending a video of Jerry Rice taking a slant to the fucking house to Ruggs. Ruggs needs to be that. Ruggs needs to be that guy that can take a slant to the house.
Yep.
And Brian Edwards needs to be that possession receiver that can catch the ball over the middle, duck the linebackers, and run up the field for 10 or 15 yards. Skip on up the field, 10 or 15 yards, just like Tim Brown.
Yep. He needs to be that dude in the right corner of the end zone, pulling down 6 points once a game, at least. Brian Edwards, man. Hey, look where we are. We all agreed on something at the very end of the show. We're gonna leave that right here. We're gonna leave that right here. We're gonna take a phone call. Let's take a phone call before we do our shout outs, and then we'll get out. Actually, we have no shout outs. We're just gonna take a phone call, and then we'll reset the raffle, and then we'll get the hell up out of here. How about that?
Sounds good, dog.
All right, so this is from the 360. You know what that means? Bringing the fire. It's Pillaging Pete.
Kenny Che Kane, brother Wasabi. What's up, baby? This is Pete. How we doing, Pillagers? So, how's everybody doing tonight? I hope we're doing well with shit going on lately. And I'm going to say something real quick right off the top. The show's starting in about 20 minutes. And I'm not entering the contest tonight, only because I've been subscribed for a while. And don't want to win it because y'all have hooked me up with some merch for being caller of the week before. And all I got to say is this is if I was ever going to enter this and win, I would probably sell Chase goddamn priceless painting of Bo Jackson for charity and donate it so the Pillaging Podcast could end up on TV somewhere, like, you know, other people. Yeah. Anywho, so I go on this week, and without a lot of football news going around, and I'm not going to try and talk about COVID, let's talk about 2021 draft stuff. And this is a question I pose to all of you, including the chat. I say that between our quarterback situation, I'm not going to mention it. I know who my favorite prospect is. We'll get into that later in the year. Our next year's mock draft is going to look a little something like this. First round, O-line or D-line. Second round, one of the same, or a safety to go with John Abram. Third round, probably another corner. Fourth round, another O-line, D-line. Fifth round, I hope we have a kicker by this point, because I would be fine with drafting a kicker in the fifth round. And, yeah, that's basically all I got. I would get into 6 and 7, but I'd just be repeating myself. So I just think that with this upcoming season coming up, if we have one, I want to hear your guys' opinion on, like, what you would like to see drafted after this year and what predictions that we have of this year, what we would draft for in 2021. That's the premise of this call. Hope you guys are having a good time. Crack me another fucking shell out while I love my truck with tools. Y'all have a good one. Shouts out to everybody in the chat. Late.
Good call.
It was a great call. I want to see a star linebacker drafted in this next draft. I want to see offensive line drafted in this draft. I think we need to continue to draft to the secondary. And I think it's time to maybe draft. Well, I'm not going to say it. That's all I'm going to say right now.
I'm gonna say, I'm finna tell y'all some shit that y'all don't even want to motherfucking hear. But I'm finna tell you, we need to draft a motherfucking quarterback. That's what the fuck we need to draft. And we need to go after Sunshine. Yeah, I said it. Shit.
Oh man.
If we don't go after him, I don't got no other choice because our team is built, except we need a quarterback. Y'all don't like that, do y'all?
Hey, there's nothing wrong with being prepared, man. That's why, dude. To look like that and to try to, prepare for the future, it's always good because you never know, and especially this nowadays where someone could go down because of a cough. It's more important to actually try to set it up right as well.
I mean, who's going to take over when Mariota goes down? You know what I'm saying?
Hey, it's gonna happen, man. These motherfuckers. I'm so tired of talking bad about Carr, but I'm not gonna stop talking bad about Carr.
This is why we're the most. This is why we're the most hated and appreciated.
Big facts. Big facts. Yeah, I'd like to see us draft offensive line though. I definitely like to see a young linebacker in there. We need more of that. The chat's saying DT. I think it depends if Gunther's still going to be here, but I don't know that DT is coveted in his scheme, considering, what they're responsible for. We have two, what are looking like top tier defensive ends right now. And I think they're going to plug and play defensive tackles as we move along with vets and big guys coming in, but I wouldn't be mad at that either. If we can get a guy up
and I
in
think
there.
They're happy with Jonathan Hankins too.
I think Hankins in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a big body. We still have to see, what Hall and Hurst are going to do. I don't know that Hall is ever going to be an elite player, but Hurst definitely has the tools to do so. We saw him making waves last year. So, let's see what happens there on the defensive line. There's a lot of competition on the defensive line this year. So I don't look at it as a position of need, but definitely linebacker. There's still going to be holes there. And I'm a firm believer, and I've seen it with the Raiders. I'm just saying defensive back, they're going to stay drafting defensive backs every single year. We always have. We always will. So I'm just saying that because it's going to happen. You know what I mean? But wide receiver looks like a lock right now. I think, depending on what you see out of Derek this year, regardless, wouldn't be mad to see his draft a quarterback. Obviously, if they go out there and get Sunshine, that's going to take a lot of collateral to make that move. So that's going to be interesting to see what they're willing to do if they want to go there. But, you keep taking shots at quarterback regardless. It's never the wrong year to take a quarterback, in my opinion, even if you're just drafting for a backup role. So, those are our thoughts, me and Kane. Bobby, Che, you have anything else you want to add to that conversation?
I mean, I guess I would have to agree, man. A lot of it's just depending on what this season looks like, right? So if there are games, we need to see obviously we need to see some growth with the young secondary that we have, right? We want to see Mullins. We want to see, Abram, who didn't get a chance to fucking play, really. We want to see that he's developing, that he's maturing, and he's actually improving on the little bit that we did get to see. We have a lot of young guys that are coming into this team too. We got Heath and all the veterans, if you will, that came in too. So I it's really dependent on what that looks like. if this team comes out and they look like gangbusters and they're just fucking killing it out there, then your feelings of what you should draft start to shift, right? If we have Ruggs and you know, and Brian Edwards go out there and they struggle, well, then you might say like, oh shit, like we need to start looking at what's out there for offense again, right? So it's really going to be dependent, man. And if we don't have a season, then I think you do exactly what you said, Kenny. I think without a season, you stay the course. You say we already hit these targets. We got to go out and solidify the linebacker. Yes, we got Littleton, but you know what? Let's put in a nice young stud right there next to him. Help him out. Offensive line, always in need. Draft those guys. Draft the best ones you can get. Get them in your stable and start preparing them to take over these positions that will eventually have to be replaced. Yeah, we have one of the best offensive lines, but these guys got to go through a lot. There's going to be a lot of injuries. There's a lot of weight that those bodies carry. We cannot just expect them to be able to just play day in, day out.
You got 3 old guys up there.
This season. That's what
you
I'm
got
saying.
three older guys up in the up front. Yeah.
And what better way to prepare them than to put them behind Pro Bowlers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Put them behind a Hudson. Put them behind an Incognito. Put those guys, you know, behind
a Gabe Jackson.
Let them behind a Gabe Jackson. Let them learn from some of the best, because that's how champions are made, man. They learn from vets, from savvy vets, from guys that know the game, that have day in, day out gone out there and proven that they are at the top of the game. You can't learn to be at the top of the game if you can't learn from somebody who's at the top of the game. That's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You're not going to get that kind of coaching from Joe Schmo that fucking coaches high school football. Like, that's not going to happen, right? So you got to put those guys, you got to set them up. You got to put
iron
them
definitely sharpens iron, bro.
That's it, man. And if you got guys on both sides of the ball that are that iron, you're going to be that much sharper, right? Because it's one thing to learn from your colleague who sits up next to you or that you're playing behind. But it's another thing to line up across the field from another top-notch guy, top-level dude, and have to battle it out with him day in, day out, and get stronger because you're getting your ass whooped on a daily basis. That changes who you are as a player too. That makes you that great player. That makes you take your shit to a next level. And then before you know it, you're winning championships, man.
They already starting to rebuild that line. They just drafted a guard, you know, and Denzel Good ain't it. But I'm saying they drafted a guard, you know. Next thing we'll probably go after a center, which we need to start looking at for the most part, a new center. You know, somebody to back up Rodney Hudson. Rodney Hudson is getting on up there. If he ain't gonna get up there in age, he gonna get up there and pay. So, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna have to start looking at that. Yeah. And then Richie Incognito is the man right now, but they drafted his heir apparent. So the other side, Gabe Jackson. Either side, you got those 3 interior linemen that you need to start looking at replacing. Che, that was a good.
Yep.
That was a good assessment, bro. Yeah,
absolutely. The offensive line is a ticking time bomb right now. It's only a couple of years before we're really hurting there. So I'd like to see them, absolutely keep adding to that. And just to back up, because the chat's talking about the linebacker comment I made. There's still holes there, guys. I don't care. Here's a hot take. I'm excited about Corey Littleton coming here, but don't be surprised if he's a disappointment. Don't be surprised. I know that's a hot take. Don't be surprised. And I agree with Angry.
We've been burned plenty times.
I will not be surprised. I've been thinking the same thing, Kenny. I've been thinking the same thing, bro. Every time we get somebody that was good somewhere else, they always come here and shit the fucking bed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
exactly.
We'll
and I agree with Angry. She says right now, Kwiatkowski is going to be more of an impact than Littleton. I agree with that 100%. I think we got a real steal there in Kwiatkowski. So. Anyways, and then who's the linebacker that we picked up from Clemson? What's his name?
Oh, the young cat.
You caught me, man. You caught me off guard with that one.
But I think he's gonna play safety.
His name,
I think they're gonna make him play safety though. I don't think he's gonna play linebacker.
Tanner Muse. Thank you.
Big white guy. Big white dude. Yeah, Tanner Muse. There you go. Yeah. I think they're gonna make this dude play safety. I don't think he's gonna play linebacker.
think maybe he plays like money back or something like that.
Eric
right?
Harris. I think he's Eric Harris.
No, but he's the guy.
2.0.
He's the guy that played safety in college. That was kind of playing both, a little bit of both. But his body is much more adept to playing linebacker. He's very stiff in the hips. He's not quick to react. He's got a lot of top end speed, which allows him to just recover. But his natural abilities lend themselves more to a linebacker than they do to a safety. They're not going to play him at safety, dog.
If he plays strong safety, but he can play inside the box. If he plays safety,
if they play him like a linebacker,
yes, inside the box, he can play better than Carl Joseph. He would be a better run stop safety, strong safety than Carl Joseph. He will play better inside the box.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He'll be a money back. He won't be a true safety. He'll come in there. You'll see him. He'll be like a Swiss Army knife. He'll be in there at linebacker, and he'll come in to play the box as an extra safety at that. But he's not going to play high. But yeah, I think it's not as empty as I'm saying, but I think there's a lot to be proved there with that linebacker squad, and I think we can still prove to get better and younger. And as these free agents move on, we're going to need guys to come in and step up. Linebacker's been atrocious for so long in Silver and Black land that in Raider Nation that we need to continue to invest in that. But Pete, great call, man. It was a great conversation that you created there. It's time for us to wrap this thing up, though. So really quick before we get out of here, holy shit, I should not have clicked on Twitter right now. Silky Slim, I don't know where the hell you got that GIF from, but get it off my screen. I don't know. You guys want to see that real quick?
Yeah. Put it up.
You already mentioned it, bro.
I don't even know what that is. Okay.
Oh, man, what's going on?
So really quick, make sure you, if you didn't make it to the live feed, we're gonna extend this. You want to win this Bo Jackson portrait, a one-of-a-kind, original by Che. This is not a print. This is the actual canvas right here. You need to like this episode. You need to subscribe to us on YouTube. You need to enable notifications, hit that bell. You need to take a screenshot showing us that you did that and send it to us using the hashtag PJ4F. Pretty easy. If you don't have social media, make one. If you don't want to, email it to us, pillaging4fun@gmail.com. Also, you can find that email in the contact section of pj4f.com. So that's all I got to say about that. A shout out to everybody that joined us in the chat tonight. It's been good to be here back-to-back weeks. I know it's been kind of funky this offseason for us. Thanks for hanging in there, y'all. I know it's late for some of you guys. Kane, Bobby, Che, hell of a show, guys.
Hey.
Hell of a show.
Always a pleasure being with my brothers. I swear to God, I look forward to this shit. You know what I'm saying? As a matter of motherfucking fact, I don't even drink during the day until I'm ready to get on with y'all, man. You know what I'm saying? It's good. It's good. Like y'all ready to end the show? Fuck, I could talk all night about football.
Well, don't go anywhere.
I'm so sick of talking about COVID-19 and politics and red and blue and Donald Trump that when I come on here and all we talking about is football and football facts, bro, my life is content. It's like a bipolar Barrett Robbins. It's like I'm in my happy space, motherfucker. Let's do it. You know what I'm saying?
The good side of the bipolar Barrett Robbins. Like
for real. Side. Yeah, the happy side, man. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, it has been awesome. So y'all make sure you hit that thumb and smash that subscribe button. If the Raiders have ever led you to drink more than you needed to, hit that subscribe button.
Ooh, we should have a lot of subscriptions.
hit that subscribe button if you've had to get carried out of the Coliseum before.
Hit that subscription if you was at the motherfucking Kansas City Chiefs game on Monday night when Andre Rison stole the game from us at the last minute. Hit that subscribe button, baby. You know what I'm saying? Shit, because I was there.
Hit that subscribe button if you've ever threatened anybody after a loss.
Hit that button twice.
If you ever accepted a fake check from Andre Rison, hit that subscribe button.
Hit that subscribe button if you ever burned down his house. No.
Shout out to Left Eye. Shout out to Left Eye.
We still love you.
Oh, Andre Rison could have used the waterfall that day. That's all I'm saying. My man's been chasing waterfalls ever since. Hey, that's it for this week's show. Tune in every week wherever podcasts are found. I'm Kenny Stapler, joined this week by
your boy Chit.
Kane, what's up?
And Bobby Wasabi.
Stay safe, everyone. Until next week, keep the wind in your sails and the rum in your mug. And Pillage on, Raider Nation. We out here. Peace. Go Raiders.
Raiders.
Like a freight train coming, you're blowing the town. Like a diesel motor, you never shut down. With your pistons pumping, you're mowing them down. It's a sight to see, they all lay their money down. When you're gone, mama, hell, you ain't acting right. When you're gone, mama, I can still see your eyes. When you're gone, mama, this'll be my last goodbye. When you're gone, gone, gone. When the sky is gray and the night sets in, it's your cue to do it all again. Until the next time I hear your name, right beside you now, my thoughts will remain. When you're gone, mama, I'll be missing you. When you're gone, mama, I can still see your eyes. When you're gone, mama, this'll be my last goodbye. When you're gone.